All right, Mott's, we're back. We are session number 11 of the Rink Shrinks. We'd like to welcome back a couple sponsors.
Yeah, so welcoming back Integral Hockey Boston, our presenting sponsor. Joe Bartel does a great job at repairing hockey sticks that are broken. So when they're broken, you want to keep them in play. Don't throw them away. It's a situation where if you break a stick, they offer shaft and blade repairs, as well as D1 Pro Stock refurbs that can save you up to 70% instead of buying a new stick. It's a great alternative to save some money. And I used actually your brother's stick that was refurbed by Joe, and I'm out there shooting pucks in practice quite a bit, and I actually see no difference. So it was a blade refurb, and it was he has a nice stick to begin with that has the nice flex and everything. So there's nothing that is different than from when it was brand new. So as far as Joe and Integral Hockey, he's seeing some good results from the listeners. So as far as a presenting sponsor, we want to thank Joe and his continued success.
Yeah, make sure you visit that website at integralhockeyboston.com. And like I said, Joe's great. And like you said, Motts, he's an excellent communicator too. A parent on my team actually reached out to me because he was they sent him a Facebook message and he got back to him right away. So very good communication, and he's spot on with that stuff. And like you said, I have one of the sticks with the a shaft repair, and I noticed no difference in the kick point and things like that. So it's good stuff. We'd also like to welcome back Rusta Mariano and the Boston Junior Terriers. The Junior Terriers are one of the top youth organization in New England and also throughout the country. The Boston Junior Terriers play out of the Canton Sportsplex in Canton, Mass., as well as the Mark Bavis Arena down in Rockland, Mass. They are centrally located and offer easy access to the rinks from all major areas, with several age groups nationally ranked. For years, the Boston Junior Terriers have continued to provide a professional coaching, top-notch skill sessions, and great competition. The Terriers play in the Eastern Hockey Federation, which obviously Mott's we've coached in. I'm also a coach of the 3 teams within the Terriers organization, and these guys, they do a great job. So make sure when you're choosing club hockey, your tuition, all those type of things, you're getting incredible value with the Junior Terriers program. They do a great job, and I really enjoy being a part of the Dogs.
Nice, yeah. Russ and his staff do a great job, creating a good environment, good culture, and Bri, you do a great job. I know from the coaching side of things, and getting good coaches. We talk about having good coaches within a program, and Russ has done a good job of kind of getting a good team together as far as coaches and providing the right instruction for that program. So definitely a great option for when you're looking to get a higher end hockey option for your kid or your boy or girl.
Yeah, for more information, make sure you visit terriershockey.com and mention the Rink Shrinks if you want to join a learn-to-play session, or if you want to join any school vacation program. This winter, you'll receive a 20% discount if you mention the Rink Shrinks. So good stuff there, and thanks again for the support. All right, Motts, let's get right into things here. We first of all, I'd like to, give you a little stick tap here. You're playing injured. Mott's had a little hip replacement. Old man River over here, and he's got the QB under the desk. He's loosening up the hips and he's grinding away. But it's good to have you back. I know the hip's a long way from the heart, so
yeah, it's a long way from the microphone. So we got the QB, whatever it is, underneath the desk, keeping the legs moving, getting my steps in. But yeah, no, it was definitely time to get it done. It was some constant pain, occupational hazard, but no worse for the wear. So occupational hazard there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And obviously, we'll get you a shake weight or something too. Do you know what I mean? Really
get the upper body going.
Yeah, really get you moving around over there and stay loose. But we had the USA capture the World Junior Championship, which is great stuff. What do you think about that, Motts?
Well, I think it was amazing hockey all around. Great tournament, great timing when the NHL wasn't playing. There was just full participation on the viewership. Nothing else to watch really for hockey. So, but yeah, just as far as the quality of play, from top to bottom, it was great. Canada had a great team that was full of future prospects. The U.S. same thing. All great prospects for these organizations that have done a good job at kind of recruiting and drafting and whatnot. So seeing that product on the ice and the excitement and the emotion that goes into it was quite a thrill. So as far as U.S. coming out on top, it was, I think the announcers mentioned it, but like they were playing at in a little bit of a tougher bracket throughout the tournament, so they had to play, I think, up a little bit more consistently, whereas Canada, had to, turn it on. And when you get put on your heels a little bit, it's tough to kind of just turn that around. And U.S. kind of got that first goal early and in the championship game and played with a lot more confidence and kept pushing the pace. Canada came back and had a good push and kind of settled down, but Spencer Knight was kind of the difference maker down the stretch and goals. So, but ultimately, good hockey. Again, disappointing finish for the Canadians, but congratulations to the U.S. team.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I think the speed and the skill level just really jumped out at me. It was outstanding, the pace that they all played with, and a lot of good talent. Obviously, we're going to be watching a lot of those guys very soon in the NHL. You know what I mean? And that's pretty good. Obviously, Trevor Zegras was phenomenal for the U.S. team. He was fantastic, and like you said, Spencer Knight. And it was good to see a bunch of New England ties, you know what I mean? Some local kids, some kids that have played at Dexter, and obviously Danny Donato's done a great job over there developing talent. And, obviously the Canadian goaltender is committed to, he's going to be playing at Northeastern. And obviously, like you said, Spencer Knight and all those guys. It was really good stuff. It was fun hockey to watch. And, the Canadians had a great team. And obviously, it was fun hockey to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, Matty Benez from local kid from Hingham. He had a great tournament. Just kind of a real two-way player.
Yep.
200 foot, and just when you see like that age being able to play a polished game and in pressure situations, understanding what to do with the puck and make plays under pressure, it's pretty impressive to see, because you look back and you think, what I would have done. He's just trying to make plays and survive a bit, but. These guys really understand the game and playing it at a high level, high pace, great skill level, like you said, and that translates. And that's the way the NHL is going right now. And these kids can step right in and be not just kind of happy to be there; they can make an impact. And on both sides, the Canadian team has a ton of players that will be going to the training camps right from that game, and we wish them all the best, because it was a treat to watch, and we're just, as far as hockey fans, we're in good shape with those players coming through.
Yeah, what'd you think about that little barrel incident with the Canadian logo on? I know that was kind of a hot topic.
Yeah, I didn't really know too much about it, but I'm sure there was something behind the scenes that maybe it was like a motivating factor or whatnot internally in the locker room, but. Each team uses whatever they can to gain that edge, and there must have been some type of barrel talk going on, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it either. I think it, obviously, like you said, every coach uses different things, and maybe it was, by bringing the barrel out on the ice, it kind of showed maybe what was going on in the locker room and things like that. But like you said, I think it was used as some type of motivating factor, and it is what it is. The U.S. won, and we tipped their caps to them. They did a great job, and obviously Nate Lehman, and it was Teddy Donato's on the staff and some of those other guys. So it was good good victory for the U.S. Switch and turn, the tables a little bit. Obviously, we had Zdeno Chara depart from the Bruins, and I think it was a long time coming, and it was obviously it's tough to see Z go, and he obviously had an amazing impact. With the Bruins, but Patrice Bergeron getting to see, obviously you can talk, you were a teammate of those guys. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, Z did a great job leading. He led by example, and always in the weight room and kind of pushing guys, and just a great person. But the person that I think was the heartbeat of that team was Bergeron, or is that the heartbeat of that team? Like a logical successor to Chara, but as a teammate, he's kind of a quiet guy. But when he says something, everyone listens.
Meaningful, yeah.
Yeah, and he's respected across the room, across the league. Just from the way he plays, you can tell. He's just a great player, 200 foot, good in all areas, and just he does everything really well, like even off the ice.
Yeah,
just super guy, but just really happy for him. And they'll be in good shape for years to come with him because he's a guy that stays in shape. He's a leader. Like he values the small things that go a long way. And as far as a captain, sometimes people think that the captain has to be the best player, but you look at guys like say a Stevie Yzerman. As he got older, he took less of a role, but he was still a leader. Right. So on those high flying Red Wing teams, when they were winning cups and Datsuk was coming through and whatnot, like he took a lesser role, but he was still their kind of driving force for leadership, and that takes a kind of a big, it's a character thing in my opinion to kind of put the ego aside and you've been such a high end player for so long, but to take less ice time and still lead by example and be the guy, then it just speaks volumes about the character of a person, and Bergeron's that type of player.
Yeah, I love the video that kind of went viral too with Marchand, the GM Don Sweeney making the announcement, and he kind of put the C on Marchand's jersey, and then he took it, and obviously he was like, we all know who the real leader is, but it just shows the culture of the locker room. You know what I mean? You got to keep things loose and have fun, and I love that stuff. A little psych out type of thing,
Can I jump in here and ask a quick question from the NHL level? Losing a player like Chara, what does that do for a locker room? Like, what is that? Obviously he was a huge part of that locker room. What does that do to the younger players? Just, and obviously we're kind of speculating, but from your experience.
Well, I think it's a time and an opportunity for other players to step up, like younger players that have been kind of in the shadow enough, or like if Zdeno is taking minutes, now they have to step up and really perform to their capabilities, take on a bigger role. And, Z was taking a little bit less ice time as he was going, but sometimes he would take more, like it was meaning, he would dictate sometimes, I know firsthand, he took a few of my shifts. He was like, I'm going to hop over the board.
Hey, what's your name again? Why don't you sit down?
Exactly. So, no, I think it's a great opportunity for these younger players to come up and kind of realize more of their potential. And, that's the positive side of it. The negative side is the immediate, impact of a loss of his stature, PK, leadership. But those holes can be filled, and I think it's an exciting time for some of those young guys on the back end.
Yeah, I think a guy like Brandon Carlo and obviously Charlie McAvoy, Matt Grizzlick, those type of guys, you're going to see an increase in their minutes, and they're going to really start to flourish too.
Because McAvoy's not even at 200 games yet, right? Isn't that kind of like the barometer? Like get to 200, that's kind of where they kind of stand, get to that next level.
Yeah, definitely on the back end. The D usually take a little bit more time to kind of gain a little experience, kind of see some of those tendencies and find their game. 200 games is kind of that threshold.
Yeah. So I think they're going to be in good shape. Obviously, it's tough to see him go, and we thank him for his service. And obviously, he did an unbelievable job. But good stuff all around. I know, Motts, we have a couple topics today that kind of drive us nuts, and we can talk to those a bit. I know you wanted to bring one up, and you like to call it Beaver Tailing. Why don't you explain what that is?
So when one of your teammates has the puck and you're open, or you think you're open, and you bang your stick a bunch on the ice, like a beaver does, like banging his tail, to let your teammate know that you're open, I just think it just bothers me, because number one, you're telling the opposing team that you're open and where you are, and also sometimes you're not as open as you think. There could be a guy right behind you, you're beaver tailing, you're just skating into coverage, whatever it is. But I just think it's something that has crept into a lot of games as a scout and, as a parent and a coach, just watching games. You see kids who want the puck, which is great, but the beaver tailing should be thrown out the window.
Yeah, I think one of the things I always talk about is when you bang your stick on the ice, kind of everybody knows what you're doing. Everybody's stick sounds the same. So the other team, like we talk about false information all the time, like they can give a little stick tap and stuff. So it's be vocal, use your voice, like communicate. That's the most important thing, and that's not done by beaver tailing and slapping your stick on the ice. You know what I mean? If I want the puck from you, I'm moving, getting open, and it's Mott's. You know, I try to tell my players that I coach is, talk to one another, use a nickname, call him his last name, whatever it is, because now I know and I recognize that voice, and that's going to help me kind of find you in that open area.
Right, and especially the worst part is when you beaver tail and you get the puck and then you don't do anything with it, or like you bobble the puck or whatever.
Yeah, if I'm going to give it to you, you better handle it and make a play, or at least get it back to me.
Yeah, you play with a guy in men's league, right?
Oh yeah. So this guy, we called him the woo guy. This guy was awful. Like it was pickup hockey, and I'd be skating up the ice, and he wasn't. I give him credit. He was communicating and calling for the puck. He wanted it. You know what I mean? But he'd hit me at the woo 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 woo, and I'm like, dude, I'm not passing you the puck regardless, you know what I mean? Whether you woo at me, anything, but it was...
That's a woo back to the bench.
Yeah. Why don't you woo yourself back to sleep, because you're not getting the biscuit from me, you know what I mean? Because I know the thing's just probably going to hit your stick and just, like, get deflect into the crowd or whatever anyways,
That's an immediate look off when you're getting wooed.
Yeah. So the woo's another thing that I guess we can add to the beaver tail that we're all set with. Call me by my name, and like I said, if you're gonna call for it, you better be able to be ready to make a play. But I think it gets back to the communication piece. It's huge on the ice and talking and things like that. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and I saw an old picture of you, I think it was from the World Juniors, is you had the Saran wrap ankles going. You know what I mean? You had the ankle tape. That's a thing that I think, back in the day, and we talked to Brian Leach, who was a guy that obviously phenomenal skater, and I played with a couple guys that were really good skaters that did kind of tape their ankles and things like that. But I think we've learned now throughout, as the game's evolved and skating's become, it's something you rarely see anymore, and you need that ankle flex. It helps with your knee bend and all that type of stuff. So talk to what was your logic with the ankle tape?
Well, it was a thrill to have Brian Leach on the show, and because he was an idol of mine, I kind of emulated my game after him, and obviously kind of like the equipment style. He taped his ankles pretty tight, pretty much a cast. So I started, kind of doing it, and it gave me some ankle stability, but that knee bend is what I would lose. I guess. I mean,
probably affected your hips too. That's why you're like Derek Sanderson over here,
limping around.
Yeah.
No, but I do feel it was like 2004 was the lockout. A skating coach was like, "Why are you taping your ankles?" I'm like, "I don't know," so
because it looks cool.
Yeah. So she made me take the tape off, and it took a little while because it felt a little more unstable, but it was more knee bend, more toe snap, and I actually felt better. It was weird.
Yeah,
it was later on in my kind of career, I guess, but at the end of it, the ankle tape was more of try to emulate my idol.
Yeah, and that was before like the clear tape days too. Like we, these young kids listening, like we didn't have clear tape growing up. It was you had the cloth stuff, so that's even thicker. What I mean? By the time I got to high school and college, the clear was around, and that's where we came up with the Saran wrap on the ankles, because that's kind of what it looks like if you really tighten them up quick, And
you crank it around. Yeah, the thick white was my go-to in college. Yeah.
Good stuff. Another thing that, and I've seen these, and I actually had to talk to a player on one of my teams a couple of years ago about was those. Have you seen those little skate weights?
Just like around the ankles, or
they put them like you almost put it through your laces of your skates, and it like makes your skates heavier or whatever. And then when you go out to practice, when you like go to a game, now your feet, I guess, feel lighter. I just think it's a gimmicky thing. I think it's stupid, to be honest.
Yeah, I know some guys that I played with had the ankle weights around their skates when they were walking around the dressing room prior to a game. But it's a little gimmicky, but it also any edge that you can get upstairs. I don't know if it's gonna necessarily make your feet quicker, but yeah, I don't know.
I felt like I permanently had ankle weights on, so
maybe that was
I was trying
the
to
reason.
shed, yeah, I was trying to shed things, you know, make the feet a little bit, make the boots a little bit lighter. That might help my game. But one thing I'd say to parents is stay away from those gimmicky little toys. Obviously, if you're Jaromir Jagr and you got a weight vest on now, that I mean, the guy's been playing in the NHL for 47 years. You know what I mean? That's a different story of pro hockey, I should say. Another thing I want to bring up, and I don't know if you've seen it, is and you see it a little bit with the outdoor games and stuff, and that's not kind of a fun thing, and it's cool. But the eye black, like kids putting on the war paint at the younger age groups, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, that I wouldn't recommend it. It's I mean the glare of the indoor lights isn't dramatic enough to have it on. I mean, I don't even know. I've never even actually wore eye black, so I don't.
I figured you as a dirt dog when you were on the diamond. Maybe.
No, I just squinted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we just as you know, as far as hockey and eye black, you know, the outdoor games is one thing, but I mean. Another gimmicky thing. Worry about making a tape-to-tape pass.
Yeah, exactly. Worry about calling for the puck. One of the things, you know, again, and you just kind of said it, is you know, understanding, and we touched on this briefly, but understanding positions on the ice and you know, knowing your roles, knowing the, you know, if you're a defender, knowing what the forechecker's doing and things like that. I think it's just, it's a, you know, very important in these kids' development.
Yeah, so one thing that I would like to talk about is a coach that I had in 7th and 8th grade, Vin Magno. He was coaching at Roxbury Latin, a prep school around here in the Boston area, and he was a real big influence on me as far as hockey development. So they're teaching the forwards in practice what forechecks they're doing, whether it be a 1-2-2, 2-1-2, and he grabbed the D and grabbed me in particular and was just like, hey, listen to what we're trying to teach them so that you understand when a team does that against you, you have an idea of how you can break it. You know, whether using your partner, a physical reverse, and make some, you know, have some separation, using the middle of the ice, all these little things that, you know, that was the first exposure I had to outthinking, you know, a forecheck and outthinking a player and multiple players. So it's like there's, you know, exposure that you can do as a coach, you know, early on. But my advice is, as D, you pay attention. Pay attention to what the coaches are trying to talk to the forwards about, so then you can use it against and for you and your defensive partner to be able to break those forechecks. And coming out of a zone clean is so important, right? So now when a forecheck's coming on you, you have to pick up on that. You have to understand if a F1 is coming hard, trying to cut the net. You know, you can suck someone in. Like, there's different ways to do it, but just getting that mental kind of processing going at an early age is a very important key. And then certain kids will take to it a little bit more, but ultimately Vin Magno was a really big influence on my hockey development at a very impressionable age. And I took those concepts all the way through, you know, from high school to college to pro.
Yeah, that's good stuff, and I think that's one of the things, like, you see some of the best penalty killers in the league are also really good offensive players, right? Because they understand what, you know, the goals are of the power play and things like that. So I think understanding positions is huge. You know, and as a coach, you know, you have to talk your players through that stuff, because a lot of times you do different drills and different things like that, and maybe it's an angling drill or something, and they're like, what's actually the purpose of this drill? What are we trying to get out of it? And, you know, for you know, like you said, that you want them to understand why they're doing it. Why are you taking this angle? Why is your stick in this type of position? It's very important stuff. And like you always talk about with the, you know, defensemen going back for pucks and things like that, you know, forwards, if they take some reps back there and they work at you know, breaking pucks out, they'll understand how hard it really is. Mm-hmm. Breaking the puck out with some guy breathing down your neck too, you know. Yeah,
and to your point about being an offensive player, being a good penalty killer, Marty Reisner I played with at Boston College, and you know, he's a first-round pick to St. Louis, and you know, he just couldn't really break through to be that high-end offensive guy. Went to Edmonton in a trade, mm-hmm. and you know, he was like, his career was just in limbo at one point, and he made a decision to focus in on being below the puck and playing the game the right way instead of cheating the offense. And that took a big step for him, but he prolonged his career for another 14 years.
Right.
You know, and that's just kind of self-evaluating, understanding I want to be in this league. What do I have to do to stay here? You know, worked on face-offs, and you know, and then he became one of the best penalty killers in the league. And you know, that's just finding your role, and it's good advice. Like I always told him, I'm like, you got to talk to these guys when we're on the island. Like, talk to these guys about what, you know, kind of your path. And he's like, nah. I'm like, all right, I will.
Yeah.
You know, I'll talk about you.
Yeah, that's
but,
awesome.
Yeah, but that's just one thing. Like being a cerebral player, you can play a defensive, you know, role if you choose to, but it's really a choice. You know, and sometimes the offensive guys have to cheat the game in some areas, but you know, if you want to be a complete player and a responsible player, you have to know what areas to be in. So.
Yeah, no, we talked to Greerzy about that, and obviously Brian Boyle's another one who's been a guest on the show. He's done a great job adapting to that role, and you think of guys, you know, Jay Pandolfo's of the world, and John Madden, guys that were phenomenal defensive players, right? You think in the NHL they were never like, you know, huge goal scorers, but they adapted their game and they became that excellent, you know, Selke award-winning type of player, which is, you know, it just shows their total understanding of the game. One other thing I want to bring up, and this came up in a group text I'm on, but the vanity plates for hockey parents, and it started with a. You know, one of my buddies was talking about a kid on his team that he was playing juniors, and he showed up. New Hampshire, obviously I went to UNH, and vanity plates are huge up there. Everybody's got like their nicknames and all that type of stuff. It's kind of hilarious. But the you know, the vanity plates with the so this he showed up to like training camp or whatever for juniors. I think they were playing with like the Monarchs, and he had his vanity plate was I score, which like. Talk about the beans on him walking in the locker room the first day, you know.
Was it a lowercase I or capital?
I don't know. I didn't get too into that. But I was thinking about yours, like if you were a New Hampshire guy or something. Obviously, Mass, you don't see a ton of vanity plates, but you could have like Hobie or something like that. That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, that would go a long way. I mean,
who's this guy, Hobie?
No, yeah, the vanity plates are kind of goofy in all aspects, I think. But just to kind of have it as like a hockey mom or you know, it's sniper.
Yeah,
you know, that would be no. I mean, what are you sniping? I mean, you got these. You got a men's league guy with sniper. You know.
Yeah. Oh, top dog. Like bar down, all those different things. Sauce. You know, this kid. Oh, he must have unbelievable. Like, they're driving on the highway. They're like, oh, this guy must own a restaurant or something. He's got great sauce. Yeah, this is the sauce man. You know,
sauce on his face.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. Well, we really didn't mention this off the top, but we kind of got a big dog coming in here today, and you know, obviously we've had some great guests so far, but. We have Ryan Whitney that's going to be joining us after the break, which we are psyched about. Obviously, you know, Whit Dog was a great friend of mine, is a great friend of mine and Mott's. We grew up playing together, and you know, we're thrilled to have him here. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's going to be a great guest. Has a lot to kind of tell us about with his experiences from hockey to outside of hockey. So. Looking forward to that interview and a little ragtime as well.
Yeah, we love the ragtime, and he's kind of that guy. You know, he hit the hockey trifecta, right? He got a scholarship to BU. He was drafted. He played in the NHL, and now it's actually the quadfecta because he's kind of you know, he's an entrepreneur. He's got his Pink Whitney. He's got Spittin Chiclets. So
yeah,
really good stuff. So we are psyched to have him, and he'll be coming up after the break.
Do you want to skate fast? For 50 years, Laura Stam instructors have taught youth players to pros how to skate correctly, powerfully, and fast. Players who attend Laura Stam power skating programs learn how to skate fast by learning how to execute every maneuver in hockey. They become powerful, stable, efficient, and explosively fast skaters. If you can't wait for a clinic, join our subscription skills video service, and we'll show you the skills taught at our clinics in an easy-to-use video format with training plans to guide your training. Register or subscribe now at laurastam.com. That's LauraStamm.com. You can learn to skate fast.
Hi, I'm Brian Boyle, and you're listening to the New England Hockey Journal's The Rink Shrinks.
Hi, this is Kevin Week, and you're listening to the New England Hockey Journal's The Rink Shrinks.
This is Charlie Coyle, and you're listening to the New England Hockey Journal's The Rink Shrinks.
All right, here we go. Our next guest in the New England Hockey Journal's The Rink Shrinks is Ryan Whitney. This legend on and off the ice was the 5th overall pick in the 2002 NHL Draft. He played in 481 NHL games and is now the co-host of the most popular hockey podcast on the planet. Welcome to the show, Whit Dog, Ryan Whitney.
It's a pleasure to be here, guys. This has been a long time coming. I knew I was going to be a guest the minute this thing became a real podcast, when it became into existence. I said, I'll be on at some point. It's taken me, what am I, the 30th guest?
Lucky number 11.
You guys asked me 9 weeks. Oh, I'm lucky number 11?
Yeah,
I'll take that.
11.
Double pennies. You're like number 1 2 times.
Yeah,
Sticks.
twice. 1 squared.
Sticks. Sticks.
I'll take it. Either way, it's a pleasure to be here.
We wouldn't be here without you, so we thank you for that. Obviously, you know, we were lucky enough to each be on Chiclets a couple times, and you know, the Rink Shrink kind of took on a little bit of a character there, and
yes,
you know, we thank you for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, Mott's came on early in the game before Biz. We had an absolute day to ourselves, and then you came on. What was the first time you came on? Was it out west?
I think the first time was at the All-Star game with me and Keith.
The West Coast Wagon Tour, and then it's when you started taking the letters, I was like, this is going to be great, you two together. So the Rink Shrink Chiclets Sandbagger, that'll be must-watch TV whenever that goes down, maybe this summer.
Well, especially we got Old Man River over there. He just got a new hip.
Yeah, dude, he's got more turn in the backswing, he's telling me already. He's all about the wrist hinge usually. Ball's going everywhere sometimes, but this summer you had it dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, a little more rotation, you know, just getting inside, attacking the ball from the inside.
We were talking about it earlier. For Christmas, I was gonna get Mott's one of those QB things, like on the NHL Network, the little exercise thing that the old people are doing.
Yes, he's doing one right now, actually. Yeah, nice of you to give it to him.
Got to keep loose.
And I get the shake weights ready to go.
No, Mott's is the guy who buys the thing that you sit on the toilet and you can putt, the little mini putt thing. He's like, working on the stroke.
Yeah, you got to get ready for the sandbag. That's official.
That'll come. We all know that'll be a thing. But
well, let's dial it in here a bit, and obviously, you know, we'd like to bring it back to your youth, right? And you know, how did you fall in love with the game? When did you start skating and all that stuff?
When did I start skating? I don't know the exact age. I'm gonna guess 3 or 4. My mom took me, and then you could go a little early before the learn to skate. Kind of what I'm doing with Ryder now, where you take them on the ice on your own, and they can't even stand up. But at least it's something before learn to skate when you're off the ice. I don't remember that part of hockey for me. I remember like right when I started playing South Shore Seahawks, what's up? Big yellow helmet.
Oh my God, that yellow bucket.
Oh, it was a nightmare. My dad buying me that thing. I don't know what he was thinking, Big Dan, but from the minute I remember the game of hockey, I was just obsessed. And I think you guys were the same way. We've talked about this for years now. And looking back on my childhood, all it was hockey. I don't really remember much. I have a horrible memory, but in terms of like when I'm younger, it was all hockey related. Like times that I got to do this, I think of ages by different tournaments or the teams I was on, and so the beginning's really hard to think back to. But I never knew I sucked. I remember that, and I did. I mean, when I was, what are you in like 4th grade? 8? 7, 8, 9, early in mites, and
I can tell you exactly when you weren't very good.
What, like 10?
So we were probably, I think, like 2nd year mites. So you're probably 9 years old.
We played Milton,
and you were just tall, lanky, like rangy left wing. He had the yellow bucket, and
half I-Tech, half K.
Yeah, he had the combo.
The worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful. Then when you came to the Kings, like, because we saw the coaches did see some potential there. Then you went with the yellow bucket. Remember the Koopa? You could change the sides.
Oh yeah,
so you had the
white
blue,
colors,
the blue on the sides. So we're like, this kid, he was a hot mess. You know what I mean?
Big ears. Who is this guy?
But but obviously, you know, the coaches we saw, they saw you know, great potential in you and stuff like that. And obviously, you always had that passion for the game, which is second to none.
That's what we all had, I think. And I mean, my dad loved the game, and I think like any kid, you know, you're watching what your dad loves, and I'd go skate with him, like you'd go skate with Buddy, and it was just like something that became such a big part of my life. That's all I thought about. I remember being young. I was like, I don't care. I got hockey. And I'll figure it out. Never ever thought about what I was going to do when I grew up. Never once. I was like, oh, I'm going to play hockey. Like, it wasn't even, I've said this before. It's like, there was never a doubt in my mind, which is so ridiculous looking back because the actual odds of it happening's so out of this world. But it's kind of like a outlook you almost have to have. I think younger kids, like, they're not even thinking about anything else, and it's not looked at as hard work by them. It's just their passion. They're working their absolute tail off. I don't know if we can say bad things in this podcast. You know what I mean? But to them, it's fun. It's just fun. You know what I'm saying? We never even like thought of it as work. We were just loving it.
No, we loved it, and obviously you and I, you know, we were teammates from that age, and you know, I remember going to watch like your Situate youth basketball games. You know what I mean? Like just you know whatever, like the sleepovers and the friendships and all that type of bonds that we created. It was the greatest. You know what I mean? And never mind like thinking about getting a job when you were older. It was like, what? I went to college and I had like 7 different majors. I was like, what do you mean? I'm just going to play hockey. I thought it was.
They're going to be a cop.
Yeah. I remember telling my parents I was going to play for the Boston Bruins and then go to Harvard to be a carpenter.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a usual path for a lot of people. They go to Harvard to become big-time carpenters.
Yeah.
So, by the way, you got that Bruins game in all about the alumni. You told us. It's that one game. I'm an alumni forever.
One shift, one game, get to play in the Bruins alumni golf outing.
Yeah, and didn't you like celebrate down the bench like you had scored?
Yeah, I hopped over the bench, quick play, offside at the blue line, went down like I scored. Julian's like, Motts, what are you doing?
Why is Mott celebrating? We just yanked him after being out there for 7 seconds.
I'm a Bruin forever now. That's what I'm celebrating, Claude.
Yeah.
Buddy Yandle was the one that switched me to D.
Oh, really?
So I was a big left winger.
As a coach, like a young player, like who were some of the influences? Buddy was one of them.
Oh yeah, Buddy was like, we spent so much time together, Brian and I, that. And my dad always told me, like, this guy knows so much about hockey. Like, you got to listen to this guy. Trust me, this is who you want to be listening to. And he coached us, and he taught us not just, like, the little things in the game, but, like, how to compete. Like, he was like, you got to be a prick out there. Like, his son's the dirtiest hockey player of all time, 12-year-old, this guy right here, slashing, breaking wrists. And I think that, like, just knowing so much
different
about
age, different age.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Podcast host now. Buddy just knew the ins and outs of hockey and what it took to be successful, so I always looked up to him. And then he went to my dad. He's like, I think Ryan would have a way better chance of... Ryan can play a lot longer in this game, maybe play in college if you switch him to D. I don't think he can do it as a forward, which is... I don't think it's easy to say, but it's also just him looking out for me. And my dad said, this is what Buddy thinks. I'm like, I'll do it. Oh. You know, and you just trust people growing up that have meant a lot to like doing what you love to do.
Because we talk a lot about... knowing both positions and kind of the forward of the game's all around you. On the back end, it's in front of you. So that, I mean, at an early age, going up front to back, and then you probably could just have more time. Work on the skating.
I remember being. Now, I still think this is partly why I wasn't great defensively. I don't know. You go back as a forward, you just want to play offense. It was like, hey, you could still play offense from the back. Yeah. And I never really concentrated much on D. Whatever, that's besides the point. But in terms of getting back there and loving the game, it was like not only do you get to see everything in front of you, but you're playing more.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, oh my God, I'm out on the ice way more often. So that was great. And then offensively, because you're a forward, and you were able to like create plays, not down low, but off the rush, you would see the plays develop as a D-man. I always did. It was like, all right, well, if I'm playing left wing, that guy's coming on the right. He's going to look to the left wing. All of a sudden, there's that space for the fourth man, the D-man, and I loved it. So Bry was also a defenseman too, so I went back and I was playing with him. And it just was like very seamless. Not seamless, I'll say, but like I never once was pissed off. Yeah. Maybe I realized subconsciously that forward I wasn't getting things done, but I loved it. I loved getting to D.
Did you beaver tail a lot?
What's beaver tail? Oh no, I couldn't. He did it so much. He was. No,
I was calling
at the
for
4 rinks in Marlboro. Every rink would hear his like whacking on it. By the way, that's where the Providence Bruins are playing this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, crazy, huh?
That is crazy. That is crazy.
But yeah, I digress from the Beaver Tails. I tried. I was loud on the ice. I tried not to do that. I'm sure there's many times I did. It's the loud D man who won't shut up.
Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier in the show. Is like Beaver Tailing. It's like communicate and call for the puck. Like stop slapping your stick on the ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It drives us nuts. You know what I mean? But you and I mean, we played together and it was awesome. Like, I mean, obviously, it's like
we would pound teams.
Pound teams. It was,
how was your Kings team, Mott?
We had some good players.
So were you guys dominant? Or were there other good teams that like you maybe were losing to in Metro?
Yeah, we ended up losing to some. St. Moritz was good back then.
Okay, St. Moritz.
Yeah, back in the day.
Wow, they were a doormat for us.
And then I ended up going to the junior Terriers.
Night.
Oh, you went to Junior Terriers?
Yeah, with Ken Hodge Sr. So Brennan Hodge was on the team, Mike Souza, Nikki Gillis.
And that's like
Bob
13.
So that was a wagon.
Yeah,
That's
That was a
good team.
wagon.
Yeah, we
The Gill?
The Gills.
The Gill's out in San Fran.
The Gill's out on social media.
Yeah,
he's out there
he's
more
in-
than Cullinane.
He's in impossible. Gill doesn't play the hits. The Gill is announcing his presence with authority. What a guy.
Beautician.
Awesome.
He is the best. We spent a lot of 4th of Julys in Winthrop together. You know, so it was
From Avon to Winthrop,
Yeah.
just moving up in the world.
some good times had there.
It was the best. I mean, I look back at like the Metro days, and you're playing games, and like very rarely it felt like we had like big games. You know, because we were
Us
a lot
and the
better.
Islanders.
Us, the Islanders, and the Flames.
Sean Collins and
Always
the
tough.
Flames.
Always
The
tough to
Flames
go play the
grinded.
picks. You
Yeah.
go out
Yep.
Western Mass, you know you're getting kids that are bigger and working their tail off. I think that
Tails, your word.
I think that the times that we spent though at the tournaments and stuff is what I remember most.
Well, we used to. I mean, I like you said, your father, Big Dan, was like a huge influence and just such a positive guy on me and as a player. And he was
Use the wall, team game.
Use the wall, team the game. There's no iron team. You know what I mean? He had all these little sayings. And what was the one thing he hated was that what's the negative term? I'm drawing a mind blank.
Which one?
Not the no iron team. Oh God!
He disliked a lot in the game that I could do, so it's hard to think about.
It's something he's just such a positive guy, such a positive guy, and he was so just a great guy. But we shared those car rides, like you know what I mean. We would go. It would be Big Dan picking up my father and myself, and we'd be driving to Montreal or Toronto or wherever it was for that tournament, and go away for the weekends. And the fathers would fill up the tub with fresh Budweisers, and
we'd be
running
rooming
around.
together. Like, see you in the morning, guys. Don't leave this room. We're like, oh, what are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. But so many good memories, and obviously all capped off by our 1997 Pee Wee
I've
World
never brought it
Champion.
up.
I
I've
know.
never brought it up.
Yeah, me neither.
We won it, Mott's.
yeah.
Cool.
Mott's
Let me
asked me
put my
for
surprise face on.
asked me for a bio for a little camp we're doing. Like the first thing I wrote was 1997 Pee Wee World Champs.
I knew it had reached a level where I maybe should try to cool off bringing it up when I was celebrating the Team USA World Junior Gold the other night, and somebody wrote beneath one of the videos I put, like, what's this loser ever won? And someone responded, like, the 1997 Quebec Pee Wee World Championship. Yeah, exactly. So
That's awesome.
that was the cap off.
It was the cap off. But yeah, so many good memories. And
That's when I was watching Mott's. That's when that was like the year we won Quebec, and then the year before I would go to Thayer games. This guy was my idol.
Yeah,
It's
but
pretty
first
cool.
you had a first stop, and that was actually one I had written down. I'll never forget. And we talk about multi-sport athletes and things like that. So the Wit Dog went to
My
Nobles.
football game?
The Wit Dog went to Nobles, right? And he had to play.
Great school, by the way.
And what was that, 7th grade? So I was just like a scrub at Pierce Middle School in Milton. I'd never even seen.
No, it was
the
8th grade.
8th grade, right. So we're picking him up to like go to a hockey tournament, right? So Big Dan picks my father and I up, and we like go to Ryan's football game, and then we're leaving from there to go wherever. So he's like over in the crowd talking to me, and he's like got some goofy number. Like he was a good athlete, definitely a very good athlete, but football wasn't his thing, right?
No,
And
so
like,
skinny.
He goes, they're like, Whitney, get in. And he goes running over to the field, like half his helmet padding was missing, and it was unbelievable.
Well, you were like good football player. I got to Nobles, and you had to play the fall sport. I'd never played football. I was like, all right, whatever, I'll play. I thought it'd be like, you know, what you watch on TV, you think it's cool. I got to one practice, you hit your hand on a helmet. I'm like, this is the worst sport I've ever been a part of. So I was terrible. I was tight end, never played. Defensive end, played a little bit. Just probably complained about the how cold the practices were.
Yeah. But you were, you're obviously a very good athlete, and I can attest to that. But you played multiple sports, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Played everything. I mean, I'm not gonna say I played everything like organized, but it was at one point like soccer. Played baseball until high school, or halfway through high school. Never really played football till 7th grade, but it was more just like outside. I was saying the other day, I'm sure you guys have this conversation all the time, but I just like would be in our neighborhood and there'd be kids everywhere running around, and then the neighborhood I live in now is similar to the one I grew up in.
Yep.
And there's never kids outside. I know that the age differences in the neighborhoods, you know, kind of odd, where there's some young families, some older. But still, I don't know, kids don't really play outside. So when I say I play every sport, it was just being outside every day and like, all right, we're playing wiffle ball, we're playing soccer. There was no lacrosse then. I kind of wish there was. There was in Milton for you. I know you played.
Yeah, I played like Babe Ruth age, not till I was like 13.
Situate didn't have it, and Duxbury's always been real good at that sport, I think.
Yeah, Avon didn't have it.
Avon didn't. Avon had it. You had it. You played with cigarettes in your mouth. No, so I played every sport. I loved it. Swam a lot. You know, I'm a good swimmer.
Very good swimmer.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, I love swimming.
Pool basketball.
Pool basketball. I would play 1-on-3. I was so tall and goofy. I would just dunk on my buddies.
Yeah,
tackling each other. I just was always active. That's what I remember. As you guys were.
Yeah, I mean, as far as getting outside and yeah, doing some fun stuff. So missing a USA Festival to go on a fishing trip.
Yeah.
How old were you? And that's kind of a good message, though, as far as you can miss some tournaments and still make, teams and be drafted and move on in your career.
Yeah, and when I talk about earlier how I never thought about like what job I would have when I grew up, it was just all hockey. Well, in a way that's so good, it can also, in a sense, blind you a little bit. So that year, it was 16s because Select 15 it starts, or it did.
Yep.
Festival started at 15. Best players in the country at 15 go play. 16, 17 as well. So 15 was awesome because we went. It was the first time you're playing against guys from all over the country. And then the next year is like even bigger because then colleges are really in the mix. And 16 years old, these guys are
looking for a deal.
You're turning into good players too, and you're like, oh my God, Team Mass, we're pretty good. Let's see what we got in this tournament. And my parents said, or it was my dad. He said, listen, my dad, your grampy, rest in peace, Paul Whitney. He wants to take his 3 oldest nephews, his grandkids, on a fishing trip to Alaska. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. He's like, it's during the Select 16s. And I said, no. I'm like, I remember thinking like, there's no way. I can't go. I have that. And my dad was into my hockey. He was never like somebody who ever like considered I would play in the NHL. Like it was all, you have to be good at school. He did not treat me like anything special because of hockey, but he was into it as I got better and he knew how much I loved it. So I thought even for him, he'd be like, oh, Dad, no, that's the Select 16s. He's like, that's the week it's happening, and this is your grandfather and your cousins, Paul and Mike, and you're going. I remember being so upset. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is such a big deal.
You should have seen me. Who was going to be my D partner?
Yeah,
who was I going to sauce it around with on the back end? You know?
And people were probably like, what's he doing? You got to go to this thing. But like looking back, you are so blinded at how everything's so important and everything's so life or death to your career as a hockey player. You can't miss the Select 16s to get to the NHL. Like that's seriously how you think when you're at a young age. You don't know anything, and I think my dad knew that his dad wouldn't be around forever. That's obvious, and it was just such an awesome trip that I look back on now, and like the fact I didn't want to go on it. I don't really blame myself because that's how you were at that age. But I'm so happy I had a father and a grandfather who looked ahead and way past sports and athletics in terms of like family time and being close with people you love as opposed to just always looking towards your games and your practices.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
I mean that's something you're never gonna forget about either. Is that time you got to spend with your grandfather either? That's good stuff.
How'd you guys do that tournament?
I just remember.
I think you made it to the medal round or something.
Yeah, and I hit. I had one of the most vicious slashes in that tournament. I think it was Steven Jonta. I think I 100% broke his wrist, and it was out of frustration in the last game. It was bad. I think it was. Yeah, it wasn't good. But yeah, we missed you. We missed you. That's
Appreciate
for sure.
that.
I definitely
That's
missed
all
you.
I wanted to hear.
Yeah, I missed you, and I missed hanging out in the dorms and all that type of stuff. And those were the memories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you ultimately, you got your scholarship. You ended up choosing BU. Talk to us a little bit about. I actually bring it back a little bit. You left Nobles, went to Thayer, obviously because your idol was Mott's.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, and then we can get into the college process and everything.
I love Nobles, like I said, and but that time I was living in Scituate. Scituate to Dedham's a hike, especially at 6:30, 7 a.m., whatever it was. But there was a girl. Allison Hickey, she was a senior at Noble. She lived in Scituate. She drove me, so it was fine. Well, the next year comes around. I hadn't even thought about this. My parents like, you're not going to Nobles anymore. You're going to Thayer. I'm like, what?
You're academically ineligible.
Who's driving? Yeah. We got that last report card from Nobles. They never told me that.
That's paying $50,000 for this.
So where was I? So they're like, listen, we're not. Dad's working. I'm not driving. I have two younger brothers. So I'm not driving you Scituate to Dedham every day. And Thayer also being closer. Like, I think hockey was really good. Their team was sick that year. My freshman year, I was lucky to make that team. Was that your first year out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I missed you by 1 year.
I know.
So Mott's the legend at Thayer, one of the greatest to ever play there. And I remember my freshman year, you came back and skated with us. So I made that team. I think that senior class had 6 guys get full D1 rides. Orpik to BC, Jack Baker BU, Brad Parsons was sick. He went to Princeton. Brad Mills went to Merrimack, D-man. Mike Ayers, stud goalie at UNH. Who am I forgetting? It might be somebody else. But either way, it was like I get on this team. I was 14, like I was 6'3", maybe 160. And so like these guys, like people say there's bullying now. That these guys were awesome, but they let me have it. I was getting absolutely dominant. Orpik, I remember, he used to torture me. I remember I was walking to the Jack Foley put the lineup of the team, whoever made the team that year, 97, 98. He said it's in the gym, like near the athletic director's office. So I'm going over there at noon. I'm walking over there at noon, and Orpik's like 200 yards away from me. He's like, Whitney. I look. He's like, you didn't make it.
Oh.
But I made it. It's just, but I look back, like I loved being on that team because these guys were so good. And then you came back at Christmas and skated, and that was awesome because you were my guy. I was like, this guy's dominating college hockey and doing laps at the end. That was, those times were the greatest because ISL. I don't think it's prep hockey's obviously still strong, but it's just different. Nobody went to the USHL then.
No,
it was so rare. And credit to that league for growing and becoming what they have. But it was different around here, and to be on a team that good when I was 14, turning 15 was I think that helped me a ton.
I remember doing the passing one-on-one with you.
Yeah, I think I stopped you. I'm like, holy shit, I stopped them. Those moments give you like serious confidence though. When you're playing against somebody older than you that you've watched and you're playing big time college hockey and you can like somewhat keep up with them.
Yeah.
I'm sure it happened for you at Thayer when guys came back.
Yeah, Rona came back and skated with us. And
did he?
Yeah.
And he ran you over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you weren't stopping him on a one-on-one.
Put an elbow through your mouth.
Yeah, it gave me less confidence.
Yeah, so the Thayer times, I actually remember a moment. It's weird, like moments that stick with you. That year we made the New Englands. We were one of the top seeds. Then it was just 8 teams made it. And we were really good. And Lawrence, I think we were the 2nd seed. And Lawrence Academy had Tony Vos, Dolinar. They were Charlie Corey, that coach, that nut.
Yep.
And they came in and they beat us 1-0 in Hingham. It was packed with.
It was a playoff game, right?
It was the New Englands. It was the first round.
I remember being there. Yep.
That's big time high school hockey. I look back at that. Like there's probably 20 guys in that game played D1 hockey and some in the NHL. And I remember at the end of that game, it was my freshman year. We were down a goal with like a minute left, and I was on the ice with the goalie pulled. And I actually remember thinking, like, holy shit, like this is
what am I doing out here?
Like not only that, and a little nervous, but more like, wow, like I'm pretty fired up. I'm on the ice right now. Like this is like a big moment as a freshman. So little things like that add up. But that hockey was awesome. the next year, the next 2 years, sophomore year we were pretty solid. Played with Jared Porter, you know him well, the new Mets GM, and he was my D partner. And then my junior year, before I went out to Ann Arbor, we struggled. We weren't that good, but that was as ISL and prep were really not nearing a 10, but it was probably like 4 or 5 years from then that it was really kind of took a dip, I thought.
Yeah, no, that was unbelievable hockey, and obviously, you know, that at that time, that's when I went up to Cushing and stuff like that, and you made that decision your senior year to go out to the under-18 team, which was, I know, a unique experience for you and all that stuff. Yeah,
that was great, and I think that program beginning, now it's in Plymouth, but it was in Ann Arbor.
Yep.
You're looking at like 20 years now, roughly. You're really starting to see, and you even have before this year, the last like 5-6 years, you're really starting to see like, I think their end goal and dream when they started that program. It's like that's working. I mean, you're getting the best players in the country. That's enormous, and not only is it the best players in the country. Well, it used to be Minnesota, Michigan, you know, Massachusetts. Now it's like Florida and California, all these states. Everywhere. You're like, so the country's improving at such a rapid pace, and being able to get the best players at 16, 17. Now, granted, there's kids who get overlooked and end up being as good as anyone else that don't get invited to that program, but I think it happens less now. I think the scouting's got that much better, and I think kids maybe don't go right away when they're asked, but they have the opportunity to. And for me, it was like I actually got asked to go out there my sophomore year, which was a year, you know, early, play with the 82s and the 81s. I wasn't at all ready. I understood that. My dad's like, no chance. And then the next year, I was like, all right, I'll go now when all the other 83 birthdays are going for that first year. You used to play in the North American League. And he didn't let me go. He's like, you're not ready. And then I remember being like, what the you know, I was pissed off. I was like, I got to play against the best players. He's like, dominate this level first. He's like, you got to dominate a level before you're ready to move up. And I've always kind of agreed with that. You got to really just be at a level where everyone's like, holy shit, he's better than everyone else. And then it's time to go. And my junior year at Thayer, I did that. I was really good, had a good year. And then I went. So it sucked because all those guys had been together that 1 year, and I came in as the new guy. I think it was me and maybe 1 or 2 others. But still, once I got there, I played 60 games, and I was definitely more ready for my freshman year at BU than I would have been playing BB&N or Rivers and just pounding them.
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly. And you know, obviously your game at that point, you had matured, you had become, you know, more of a, you know, physically stronger and everything. And
yeah, I was growing into my body.
Yeah, it was great advice from Big Dan once again, you know what I mean? He saw, and I think a lot of times nowadays it's so important to hear. It's like, parents want to chase it and they want to say, oh, my kid needs to play up, and my parent, you know, my kid needs to, like, he's doing pretty well on this team, but, you know, if he plays on the A team or the elite team or whatever it's called, like, you know, do you think it'll be better for his development? And I think, boom, like, you just hit the nail on the head. Like, dominate this level first. When you're scoring 3-4 goals a game, or, you know, making plays and snapping it around, no problem, then come talk to me.
And it's such a marathon. It's not a sprint at all. It's the most true, like, cliche you can say about, like, development as any athlete. So, I mean, hockey's one thing where you just cannot try to rush through it. And not only scoring 3-4 goals a game, like, if you're at a level and you're dominating, it can be parents of the team watching every night. They'll just know. It's like, this kid is like, he's not necessarily scoring 3 goals a game, but every time he has the puck, he's like creating, and it's out of his zone. It's like, all right, you're now showing like you're really, really good and maybe ready to take a step.
And I just got an updated text from Big Dan Whitney that, because what I was thinking of was that, you know, that KISS model or whatever they call it, like keep it simple, stupid.
He hated that it said stupid.
He hated that it said stupid, right? So it was keep it simple, solid, and smart. He added an S to it, which was.
He sends me texts.
I mean, look at the text
he sends me texts. He sends me texts. 10 letters.
Look at how long.
So you're supposed to figure out
the acronym.
Yeah, I'm like, is that what it is? Acronym?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what all those mean together. Just send me the text what it is.
He was like the original, like, you know, TT whatever, talk to you later type of, like, he said those little acronyms.
TT, YL, 143s.
Yeah.
Man of positivity.
Awesome. But yeah, so keep it simple, solid, and smart. That's what I was looking for. I was drawing a crazy mind blank, but I had to go to the Big Dan text. You know?
Nice.
I know Buddy so well. What was your dad like when you had a game where you maybe struggled a little bit. Was he ever giving it to you in the car?
No.
No?
No, my dad never. I mean, I was happy when he was able to make it.
Yeah,
and then, he didn't play hockey, and he just was just solid. Just didn't say anything.
Wow,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Awesome.
Mabel, on the other hand, would be upset if I, took a penalty with my stick. She's like, I don't care if you do something, but just don't use your stick.
Don't break that stick.
So like I would get into a little wrestling match or something like that, but she's like, as long as you don't use your stick, Michael.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, you went, obviously we talked about BU quickly, but were there any, I kind of remember this, but like Major Junior, you kind of talked about it a little bit, and then was it BC, BU? Obviously, Big Dan was always a big BU guy.
Major Junior was never a thing, and I think then it turned to Quebec, and it was different. At one point, when I was at an age when it was like talked about, and it was the OHL. Paul Mara, I remember, went to the OHL from Belmont Hill.
Yep,
great guy, and so that was never really a thing. And then part of the reason I remember that my dad would say 1 year at National Development Program, he's like, you're killing your body. He's like, Major Junior, you're playing a lot of games, you're getting ready for pro hockey, but you're also like, it's not 35 games and working out in the gym a lot like college.
Training with Mike Boyle every day.
Yeah, so that was part of it, and Major Junior, that's a big thing. I think, I'm a college guy, but what did you ask that I just got away from?
No, was it, I guess it's, was it always BU?
Oh, yeah, BU, BC. So, we went to BU games growing up.
Yeah,
I love BU.
We used to go to Wally B all the time.
Oh, it was great. Easy ride from Milton back roads.
Yep.
So
Big Dan loves the back roads.
Oh yeah, you
too.
can't sit on a highway, no chance. He'll drive 3 hours on a back road as opposed to sitting 30 minutes in traffic. I'm not kidding you.
Oh yeah, that's why him and my father got along. And your father driving with his knees with like a T. Anthony's box of pizza on his lap, like
and he'd be cutting it while driving. Yeah,
eat that.
Drive home from BU on these. He would bring me to BU games. BU was really good. We would go together, and I didn't know the main reason was that because he went to Holy Cross, him and my mother went to Holy Cross, and at the time, Holy Cross and BC were like huge rivals. I think BC's athletic program obviously went to that next level, but at a moment in time, their football teams were. Yeah. So they hated BC. My dad hated BC, and my grandfather couldn't stand BC. So I was a BU guy, and then also, let alone that BU sold beer. That's a game changer.
Game changer.
That's a game changer. It was the one school in town you could go get a beer and watch the game. So I think that kind of always going to the games, it was just my goal to play for BU. It's weird. I think that it's different now. But BC, they were struggling when we were 10 to 14. Right? I mean, it wasn't like the powerhouse teams they have now at BC. So I think that definitely changed it.
Yeah, I remember going to those. I mean, they had some great players back at BC, I think, like before Mott's era.
Oh,
like,
yeah, but I'm saying
like the Ian Morans of the world and those type of guys, but they were never. There was that transition, right, with Milbury and Cedar Chuck and all that type of stuff.
And Conti was dead then.
Yeah.
It was dead, and you'd go to BU smaller, and it's like, the ceiling. It was just like, I don't know. That was a note.
Section 8.
Yeah, that was in Section 8.
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Iron Man,
Sasquatch. He's retired.
That band was unreal.
Now you look back, he's like 40 years old, ripping his shirt off at BU games. You got to respect that.
It's like Mott's on a golf course.
Just only in Connecticut when golf's banned here.
Just to get the game going,
we needed a couple of those trips.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously, so you went on, played at BU, and obviously talk about the legendary Jack Parker and that staff, and you did 3 years there. Obviously, you scored a huge goal for us after. Was that our freshman year? No, that was my freshman year.
It was my sophomore year. My sophomore year was tough.
Yeah, you battled some injuries too.
Yeah, I got injured. But freshman year, I came in, and Parker's obviously a legend, and I remember being petrified of him, like everyone was. And he was a good coach. Like, he had been coaching for so long that he knew so much about the game. There was times I think that we would get a little frustrated that the systems would stay the same, like the BU power play, D to D to D to D to D, from the blue line. But
dot to dot.
But still, like, he had coached so many great players and knew so much about hockey and like about the Hockey East and college hockey. I know that sounds weird, but it was like such a thrill to get to play for him. And you'd have different. He was, oh my God, this guy was so. What's the word when you have to do the same thing every time?
OCD?
No, not OCD. Like he was, like you have before the game. You
Repetitive.
have routine. Oh, this guy had routines before the games, the day before games, and it was such a fun time in life to be a freshman there. We were really good. Chris Diamond, Mike Pandolfo were the captains, and Freddie Meyer, and team was stacked. That was actually would have been DiPietro's junior year, I think. But he had turned pro, or maybe sophomore year. I don't remember exactly how that worked. But we had Sean Fields, was really good.
Fieldsy came kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, he did. Good. He did. And so that team, we lost to Maine, I believe, to go to the Final Four in Worcester after getting the bye. And that was back when they did the buys. So, the next year, you're losing definitely. Oh, Pat Alfiero was on the senior on the team. That team was stacked.
Jack Baker.
Yeah. And so then the next year we were really good again, and Freddie was our captain, and Freddie was awesome in college. Awesome. I mean, he played in the NHL for a reason. He was so good. He would kill guys. Hip checks. He was dirty. He was hard to play against. So he was an awesome leader. And that year we lost in the Final Four to UNH. The game to go to the Final Four to UNH. So it was, and that was the year Ayers. I think he shut us out the last 3 games of the year or something.
Yeah, Ayers, he was on fire. Mike Ayers obviously is an assistant at BC now. He was our goalie. He was awesome. Unbelievable that year.
Yeah, he was a machine. And then my junior year, we struggled. We barely got into the Hockey East playoffs as the 8th seed, and we beat BC, the 1 seed, in the first round, which at least got us to the Garden for the Final Four of Hockey East, which we would have had to win to get into the NCAAs. And who'd we lose to? I think Maine. We lost to Maine, and remember Preston Ryan on Maine? Oh, that guy was nasty.
He was an animal.
He was an animal. He was a little older, but not like crazy older.
Yeah, he was like, for Maine years, he was like 46.
He wasn't 27 like some Maine guys, but
like Walshy.
Yeah, Walshy. College hockey was the best memories. I mean, the nights where you have like the Friday night game on the road, Saturday at home. Crowd going the night, and then after the game, it's like Parker would be like, "This is Saturday night, boys." We had one Saturday night a week, so if you played on Sunday and Tuesday somehow, and you didn't play till Friday, it was like Tuesday night. You'd be like, "It's Saturday night. You can go out tonight." So he'd come in and say, like, that was back when we'd have teas would fly down pizzas. So you'd come in. Usually those first 2 years you won, and there'd be tons of cheese pizzas. You're crushing pizzas and shakes, and then Parker's like, "It's Saturday night, boys." You're like, "Oh my God!" Like I would let you break both of my arms to go back in time to that right now and live that again. Know what I know now, but
I remember being a senior at Cushing, and Whit was a freshman, and I'd be in there every weekend. Kids would be like, "What'd you do this weekend?" I'd be like, "Nothing really." Like,
I remember
Midnight Madness, remember? Oh my God.
Oh, Midnight Madness is like 15 of us in the car. It was like I remember we went. He was a senior, so a bunch of my buddies were my age, Brian, but they had stayed back, so they were still in high school my freshman year. So they're coming
or got kept back.
They're coming in all the time, and then I don't remember who you were with, but Bry's behind me with another one of our buddies, and I know I'm getting into this place. I'm like, "Guys, you got IDs? Like, I'm going in here if you guys get in or not." And Bry's like, "Yeah, I got ID. We got IDs." So the kid says to Bry, he's like, "Hey, if one of us doesn't get in, like, we gotta." Bry goes in. He's standing next to you. Then the guy busts him. The door. The bouncer's like, "Nope." So the kid's like, "Bry, let's go. I can't get in." He's like, "What?" And the door shuts, and we go in and have a night. And the kid's outside. Was it Okie? But I don't remember. But it was just like the memories of that. Is college is the best. I tell everyone, college is so fun. If you could play college hockey now, Arizona State, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I would have taken a trip out there.
At
least,
at least you get your official visit. They're gonna lead the league in official visits. I have one of my friends has a bet with somebody else that they're gonna win the national title in the next 5 years. They have a new rink coming, so that's just what we go along with saying the NTDP and the growing of hockey. It's this game. You're getting everyone from everywhere now. I love it. It was great for us that it wasn't like this when we were playing, though.
I know. Oh man.
So Whit, going 5th overall in the draft, can you talk to us about kind of that experience, going through that process, and maybe some of the pressure afterwards, if you did have any internal pressure or external, and Just some of the kind of difficulties with that.
Yeah, it was crazy experience. You know, leading up to the draft, when you start like realizing you could go pretty high, it's a year and a half before, if not 2, when you start really like looking at who else could go high. And I look back at the way I was. I regret it so much. I think it's really helped me with my career after hockey, and that is like reading comments. And I was like, dude, I was on like message boards, like I was a nutcase, and I was seeing who else was prospects, and just such wasted energy that I just wanted it so bad. I wanted to be a high pick, and like I was just not in a great spot, like mentally, like in certain times of my career growing up, where it's like so competitive with everyone else instead of just worrying about your own game. So I was really into it. And then I did have a good year. I don't think I was amazing my freshman year, but I was solid. I played a lot. I probably had 20 points in 40 games. And
20,
I think it was
21 points.
21.
You were very good.
I was good.
I
had a lot of potential. I think I was definitely a guy that was being drafted for four years down the line. So the season came, and we had a good team, like I said, and I had a good year. And then my season, and I went to World Juniors. I remember being pissed. I made that team. It was in Czech Republic, so 82s and 83s. And I didn't really play much. I was pissed, and I thought, like, this is going to affect the draft. This is going to affect the draft. Like, my mental state, so stupid. And I remember, like, talking to my agent, and he said, hey, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. Like, this isn't the end of the world that you didn't play 20 minutes a game in the World Juniors. So the summer comes, and the interviews come, and you're getting ready for the draft, and you're hearing, like, what teams may pick you, where teams are slotted that maybe need a defenseman, things like that. And still didn't know much, and started hearing that like the first 3 picks were set. It was, at the time, it was Bowmeister for sure, Rick Nash, Kari Lehtinen, the goalie, and draft day comes. So I know that like after those 3, I could go 4th. I think I'll be gone by 6th or 7th. Like at that point, you know, and that's so exciting. I remember being nervous, excited, and so the draft happened, and then 4th was Pitkin to Philly, and then Neil Shea came up and said. He was like, we were sitting in the stands in Toronto, and he kind of came to like the bottom. He's like, "You're next. They're gonna take you." Because I think Neil did so much in terms of like putting his neck on the line and saying that they should pick me. I always thankful to him for that. And so that moment came. I don't even really remember much. Like I don't remember hugging my parents. I don't remember anything. I remember getting on the stage. Gary Bettman says, "Welcome to the NHL, Ryan." Like that's what he says to everyone, which is like I remember that. Don't remember the pictures. Don't remember any of the interviews after. Remember the night. That was a night in Toronto. So after that, I remember going back to BU, and I was doing the summer classes so you could stay on campus and work out, and talk to my dad. He'd say this is Sunday or Monday. He's like, "What a weekend! Congrats! Like so proud of you." Great phone call. I remember him saying like it means nothing though. Like at the end, he's like, "The work starts now." It doesn't. What does that mean? You get drafted 5th overall, great, but it doesn't matter if you don't continue to improve. And that was a great thing to hear. And then that summer, I had an awesome summer. So that's June, the draft. I came into my sophomore year feeling amazing. I felt as good as ever. And then we do the 6 a.m. workouts 2 days a week in the fall, and we'd play handball. It's actually fun. Like one day we could be handball, the other one would be a hard workout. But we're out there, and everyone's buzzing around, and I just jumped up and landed on this kid's ankle, the one of the goalies, and just boom, done. And so it was one of those like worst case scenario sprains where you'd rather just snap the thing in half, but it was like grade 3, whatever it is, sprain. I'm like, oh my God, I'd never really been injured. Yeah, I'd never really dealt with anything before. And so I'm rehabbing, and the team's doing well, and I'm trying to come back. And at that point, like, you're playing in practice with an ankle. Anyone who's done an ankle knows you just keep, what is the word? You
like
just,
triggering it.
Yeah, you just keep tweaking it. Stay hot. And so
we're like right around the words.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're just not right on.
That counts though.
Yeah, it's close enough.
So I tweak it, and every single day it would happen. I'm like, I can't come back and play. And then I came back too early, and I was struggling, and I was like, obviously, like, you could tell I wasn't skating well, and then the whole year was off. I remember I played against Northeastern. I actually had a goal and an assist, but it wasn't. I got like beat wide a couple times. I tweaked it once, And Neil Shea called me after. And now, granted, he'd been the guy who just drafted me. Now he's watching me like play horrific, and he's like, "Are you hurt?" I was like, "Yeah, kind of." He's like, "Dude, you're not even like." He's like, "You can't play if you're hurt." It was a pretty good conversation. I remember being like, "I just fucking scored," and like that's all that matters. And so that year, finally, I ended up getting healthy and feeling good at the end of the year. And the end of the year ends. We were going to the NCAA's anyways, but we're Hockey East championship game. The Garden's packed. 10,000 UNH fans, and Tyson Toplitsky throws one on net, and I just tipped it shelf.
Whit Dog with the snipe for UNH.
So that was the end of an awful sophomore year. Actually, funny enough, you bring that up. Ryan Malone, Bugsy, my good buddy, he sent me a picture that someone had sent him 2 days ago. It said Hobie Hopefuls for before that season at Sports Illustrated, and him and I were listed. He was a senior at St. Cloud, or junior, I don't know. And
we ended up playing them. I don't know if we played them in Worcester in the national.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we played against him. I remember him. I think
he was a monster.
That must have been my freshman. Yeah, that was the year, because that would have been my freshman year.
Yep.
And he crushed me in the corner like, "Welcome to college hockey, baby." Yeah.
So
I was like, "Oh,
who won it that year?
You know what? I'm horrible.
I think Minnesota did.
Peter
like back
Sanya.
Yeah, Peter
Sanya
because
won.
Minnesota beat us. No, Minnesota. That was my freshman year.
Oh, I thought you meant the Hobie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He won the Hobie. He wants to know other
Take it easy. You should know that. You're the one with the vanity license plate, a Hobie.
Dude, you're the one going to the Zoom award presentation this year.
Seriously, you're presenting sponsor.
The Rink Shrinks.
Exactly.
Hobie has a little trademark Rink Shrinks on it now.
Yeah. Who won it?
So that sophomore year was trash, but that was after my draft. I don't know. The NCAA champions. Minnesota was my freshman. No, my freshman year was Minnesota. They win 2 in a row.
Yeah, because they beat us in the finals.
Yep.
We lost in the finals my freshman year.
And junior year, Denver beat Maine in the Garden.
Yes.
Junior Lassard.
Ryan Caldwell, awesome defenseman on Denver. Denver's they were a wagon.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
So many memories of college, man.
Really, really good stuff. And then obviously let's chat about your NHL career. Obviously you go in, and it was kind of I remember kind of a funny story. So Whit Dog calls me, right? And dude, I never had 2 pennies to rub together. Like my job at UNH, I got paid like $20 a day. Me and Brian Foley used to water the AstroTurf field, right? Like before field hockey practice. It was a great gig. It was hilarious. We'd like put it out, but for whatever reason, like the field hockey coach liked the field wet and whatever. We took the money, obviously.
It's like Bill Murray and Caddyshack.
Yeah. People would be getting like going to lunch at this little restaurant. Yeah, I forget the name of it, but they'd be like, "What are these lunatics doing? Like, they're water. That's not grass." And we're like, no. If you water enough, it grows, and this and that. And they're like looking at us like these guys are out of their minds. So, but Whit signs, right? So I'm sitting at UNH, and he's like, "Hey," "I just signed with Pittsburgh." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." He's like, "I got like $1 million signing bonus." He's like, "I got a check last week for like, how you get your scholarship checks? At least at UNH, we used to get a scholarship check, right? You'd get a scholarship check, and like you would, because we lived off campus, so you would get like off housing. So he got like some check from school. So say it was like $500. I'm like, well, if you're not doing anything with the 500, like,
chuck me your BU
chuck me
scholarship check.
Yeah, sign that over.
Sign that over if you can. I'm pretty broke up here in Durham, and like these quarter drafts.
Water and turf.
Yeah, I'm water and turf, and these quarter drafts aren't really working out too well. You know what I mean? I seem to be drinking way too many of them.
Yeah, like how was my bill $10?
Yeah, exactly.
10-cent pitchers.
But then obviously you sign with Pittsburgh and you play in the American League right away.
Yeah, right away.
Was that the lockout year?
No, I after my junior.
Oh, you went down and had a great run in the playoffs.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes, which was actually great. That ended up being such a help for me. But I remember, postseason college, you bender, 2-week bender where you don't have to do anything. We were going out every night, and then we started like skating a little bit, just messing around, and then Pittsburgh called, like, "We'll sign you and you'll go play in the playoffs." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I haven't been doing a thing, but I practiced for like 5 days, and then they played the first game of the playoffs against Bridgeport, lost, put me in, and we went to the College Cup Finals, lost.
Great
we got
experience.
swept by Milwaukee, but that was like be thrown right into that, and I was playing a good amount, probably 20 minutes playing power play. The team was good. It was just great for Pittsburgh to see me at a high level, right? Their team wasn't in the playoffs, so everyone in that organization's watching Wilkes-Barre. We went on a run, had some great players on that team.
Darren Hayda, he was a stud, I think. Milwaukee, they won it that year.
Yeah,
right?
Milwaukee won it. They had
guys.
a D-man. Was it Curtis Murphy?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was like an apple orchard.
Oh, the dude just legit lived on the PP, got every shot through and picked up points like a machine.
Exactly.
Scotty Upshaw was on that team, I remember. There was a bunch of guys.
Was the Hercus Circus on that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was still
Tony
getting it done, too.
Hercus.
Who is that?
Tony Hercus, one of the highest scoring players in college hockey history in North Dakota.
115 points or something?
Yeah. And he played a long time pro, too. He was
smart.
Really good.
Yeah.
Kind of like David Heimovitz player, but more skill, maybe? Both, they weren't like overly fast, but so smart.
Smart, yeah. Really smart.
Remember how nasty Heimo was Thursday Night League?
The best. Those Thursday Night League games.
The Habs?
Oh,
you guys were on the Habs.
We were the Habs.
We finally won that thing and ripped it up. That was a great time.
That was old school hockey, and that's something that has changed so much, in these days. And obviously, we're getting off track. But we played Thursday nights, and it was everybody played in the league.
It was the best college and pro hockey players living in Boston.
I remember my father playing in the league into his 40s, and it would be you'd go down there at 6 o'clock for the first game, and we'd be rolling in, and he'd be like, "Don't tell your mother we got home at 2 a.m." You know what I mean? It was just everybody sitting around telling war stories. The first two teams got the grill going, and there was obviously coolers packed, and it was that was like a Thursday night out. Mott's as Mott started maturing, and he was obviously playing. He was a knight. We used to battle with them, and we were the young guys. We were, but we had Heimo and
Justin Harney.
Harney was awesome.
Sick toe drag.
Yep. He was playing in Europe a lot at that time, and we had some older veteran guys. But it was the first two games. Those guys were in charge of the cookout. Then there'd be a 7 o'clock game, and then an 8 o'clock game or whatever.
You never wanted the late game though.
No, you didn't want the West Coast game because the grill was done. The grill was done. Now these guys are eating veggie wraps and all these
they
crazy
have meals brought to them after
meals
the game.
And protein shakes
and all that stuff. And this is here, kid, grab me a Budweiser.
Yeah, so it was Newman and the Braves.
Newman Club.
Yeah, Newman Club, the white team.
Yeah.
Pody was just, oh my God. That was toe drag and everyone. I remember that was the first time I was like, beer's so good when you come off the ice. Why does it taste so amazing cold after skating? I was like, this is insane.
Who needs a water?
This actually tastes like heaven.
Yeah.
But
that was awesome.
Good times. Yeah, so what were we going into? My pro career?
Yeah, we were gonna start talking about your pro career, but we just started talking about.
There's not much.
We're talking about men's league.
It all
way more fun.
Yeah, that's where we all end up anyway.
Yeah, it ends up there. So,
so after that next year, after the run in the AHL, it was the lockout year, which also helped me a ton because there was no pressure of being in the NHL. If I hadn't made the team, which I didn't even make the team out of camp the next year, so I wouldn't have made it that year, I probably would have been like, oh, I got to get to the NHL, But instead, it was just the best players, it was the best players, I felt like under 23, pretty much. Besides the superstars, but everyone else was down there. Even Spezza, he was down there, and
bingo.
Every team had 5 guys the next year on their NHL club.
Yeah,
that's what
Bergeron was down in Boston. He was obviously young,
Philly had a wagon.
Philly they won it that year.
They ended up getting
Carter Richards. That was a joke. We played him all year.
Where were you at that time, Mott?
Cincy?
Worcester.
Oh,
you were a Shark?
No, it was the
Blues.
Ice Cats. Ice Cats. But they were the Sharks team.
No, it was
St. Louis, right?
Oh my God, I'm outdated.
Yeah, so we didn't have as many NHL guys coming down
because there were so many vets on St. Louis at the time.
Yeah, so we were a little thin, and so Lowell was good. They had Stahl and a bunch of guys, and Kobasu I think was there.
I remember
Commodore was there.
Commodore, yeah. So we were a little thin. We didn't make the playoffs, but Providence was really good. You guys were really good. Philly, Hershey, yep.
Hershey wasn't a wagon yet.
No, they weren't a wagon, but they had some
they had guys that were just pains to play against. I remember because we played that Wilkes-Barre Hershey was that was the rivalry, I guess.
Yeah, well, they're right down the street,
Yeah,
basically.
you know, the chocolate town.
Yeah,
You actually smell chocolate in that town for anyone who's
my
never been
first
there.
pro game was in Hershey.
Really?
They left like a Hershey bar on your pillow. It was. I mean, it was. I'm like, oh, I made it.
That was your pregame meal?
Yeah, exactly. You didn't send me a BU card with the dough on it, so that was all I was eating.
Oh,
Leave that in the bathroom after.
Yeah, no, I mean, but you obviously, I mean, you sell yourself short. You were a very good player, and obviously you battled some injuries, and you were in, Pittsburgh with Sid when you did get the call up, and you guys kind of turned around, and I mean, there was a period in time where, I mean, God, I used to watch every one of your games, but when you guys went to the playoffs and on that run where you guys lost to Detroit, and like you would. I mean, it's hard to say anybody dominates, but you were a very, very impactful player.
Yeah, for a couple years there, I was playing awesome. I had the one really good year. The next year was I was hurt, but I still played solid. That's when we went to the Cup Finals. Had a great playoff that year. So my regular season was really inconsistent, but my playoff was awesome. And then injuries kind of really started piling up. I wasn't the same player. Went to Anaheim like halfway through that year from Pittsburgh. They end up going to the winning the Stanley Cup. That was tough. But I think that after I was in Anaheim for it was like one full season, but it was 2 different years, if you know what I mean, because I got dealt the next deadline and went to Edmonton, and actually got to Edmonton, was playing pretty well, and the team wasn't good, but that the rest of the year after deadline I played well. The next season I was doing great, and then I had like the injury that really ended it, which was my right ankle, and it was just one of those things where it was like depressing, as you can't do what your your body can't do what your mind's telling you to do anymore, and like to know that while also being paid a lot and living in Canada, I look back, it was like I was definitely battling, like, I don't want to say depression at times, but it's like when your whole life is kind of hockey, obviously, and you're just seeing it kind of slowly. It wasn't like a quick ending. It was more just like death by 1,000 paper cuts, where you're just like, oh my God, like I can't do this anymore. And you're trying everything. I remember trying like 400 skates, insoles, surgeries. It was just like, all right. And then you look back at it now, and I mean, what else was I supposed to do? The attitude part was tough, because there was times I was so down that you look back and I didn't approach it the right way. But I mean, I was young. You're not married. I think if you're going through that with somebody else, maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but
yeah, somebody to lean on that you can kind of tell, because obviously you're close with your teammates and you can talk to them about it, but not like in that depth where they know like you're really emotional, right?
No, and pro hockey, like, nobody wants to hear. You got your own thing. Like, it's such a hard thing to deal with being a professional athlete. You have to be so ultra focused and as good of a teammate as you want to be. There's times you don't want to be like hearing. You don't even want to be putting that on guys. Like your negative energy or your negative thoughts on what you can do, and it was tough. It was tough. So looking back, like the way things ended for me in the NHL and AHL, like I was like bitter about it, but now I look at it, it's like, I'm so lucky I signed a contract before I was hurt. I mean, like, thank God for that. Like, if I hadn't been a free agent, all of a sudden, like, that deal's not nearly that size. So, like, grateful for that.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah, you could say I robbed him. I don't care. Money's in my bank account.
I will take it.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, like, you kind of appreciate, like, what it took to get there and what you did by getting to the highest level. And like, yeah, I didn't win a Stanley Cup, but like my dream came true. I played in the NHL, and so like looking back, no matter how hard it was when it was ending, I'm still so grateful for everything that happened. Yep. It's like, I actually remember thinking about like post hockey, and been very lucky there, obviously. But I remember my dad came to Edmonton, and this was in, the midst of like, I was really struggling, couldn't skate very well, but nothing else. I just kind of knew it was over, and he was like, "Oh, you just seem so upset. Like, I just remember you're always so happy, you were smiling. Like growing up, you loved the game." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't love it anymore." It's like so hard to say. It's like I love the guys, but like, how are you supposed to love something that you just every time you go, it's so hard to do, and you can't do what you want, and it's like you're dealing with pain while also dealing with being uncomfortable. It's like it sounds like you're kind of complaining about everything, but in a sense, your whole life's kind of crumbling a little bit. Like, how are you going to enjoy it? So looking back now, and how happy I am, and I got a healthy family. It's like I understand why I was upset at the time, but my memories of the NHL are still amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
And we had an opportunity to play together.
I was gonna say you guys
The
had
best,
a couple
the
rodeos,
best.
right?
Well, I got shriveled for you, and then because I got signed with Florida, got sent down. Finally, they put me on waivers, and then I'm like, all right, at least I'm with Mott's. They brought him up when they sent me down.
No.
And I was a mid-season black ace. I didn't play at all, so I was just.
It was kind of a dream scenario for you last year. Like instead of like playing in the minors, he's just on an NHL roster. Doesn't really have to play.
Yeah, organizing like golf pools and
Like pay Mott's for the football pool.
yeah, intangibles. But then I got sent down
Yeah.
last, I don't know, month and a half or something, whatever it was, and it was a pleasure to be able to play with a friend and Whit, and like just we had some good times.
Oh,
Yeah.
we had a blast. And when Ryan came,
Yeah.
I got a video of Mott's son walking out on the ice with him. Great picture. That's your Twitter picture, and that was cool because how well I knew you, we'd never played together.
Yeah.
And so that month and a half was a blast. And we would just after every game immediately meet up for dinner. I remember loving that year.
Oh,
And San Antonio was nice. I was playing golf every day.
Yeah, he went
The
to
quarry.
the Steve Stricker no hinge. You need to break the swing.
I have videos of my swing. I would go to a range lit up at night in San Antonio when we
Yeah.
were there, and I was looking at my swing. I'm like, oh my god, it's terrible.
Yeah, but you went
that
back
was
to
the
the
that was the
big-
path.
Yeah,
You can't get that too much wrist hinge. You don't know where the club head is, Moss.
I
Just
went
keep
to
it
the-
all straight.
Keep it tight.
Keep it tight.
We had a quick little cup of coffee together too. So my senior year,
Oh, my
UNH,
God.
this was pretty fun. So my senior year, I went to Lowell, played like 6 or 7 games, whatever it was, and then one of the games was against Wilkes-Barre, and I played pretty good. So Lowell wasn't making the American League playoffs, but Wilkes-Barre was. So they called and were like, hey, do you want to come down for the playoffs? And I'm like, oh yeah, great, whatever. Witt's obviously up in the NHL at the time, but it ended up it was like a Boston reunion down there. It was like you ended up coming down.
Yeah, 'cause they sent
I
us
didn't.
down.
I didn't end up playing any games, but it was like me and him living in a hotel, like in different rooms, and like same type of like. He's the most generous person there is. Like, and he's like, I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. Like, he's like, I don't think I had a debit card. So he's like, just put. He's like, yeah, if he like buys anything at the store, just put it on my card. And like, I'll never forget at that hotel. So I was obviously Healthy Scratch. They
Was it
would
the Woodlands?
Those are like the Residence Inn.
yeah,
one.
it was
like
something,
right-
but they would roll out a keg before the games.
yes.
They would roll out a keg, so I'd like
They'd
sit
happy
down
hour
there and
down
have like a couple pops, and then like walk over to the rink, or like I'd drop Whit off before. It was ridiculous.
That was also
but we had a blast.
We
like,
won the first round, Game 7 against Bridgeport.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
lost to Hershey, I believe.
Yes,
And so he was there, and I remember that was the playoff. I just played in the NHL and had a good rookie year, and I came back down. But I'd started the year on that team in Wilkes-Barre, and I came back down, and I was bringing McDonald's pancakes into the room for breakfast every morning. Just, those like, those are great fluffy pancakes at McDonald's.
the hotcakes.
Hotcakes. And like a sausage, or not a sausage, one of those, what are they, the potatoes?
oh, those things are great. The hash browns.
Oh, the hash brown. And I'm like,
So
looking
healthy.
back now, I was like, playoff game morning, I'm eating McDonald's in the locker room. Like, what would
The
that
times
be,
have
like,
changed.
What would that be looked at?
We're
now?
talking like we played.
And I came from the
60 years
NHL.
ago.
I wasn't even like a coast guy. I was eating McDonald's.
That was
Embarrassing.
awesome. But yeah, we had a good little. It was like ended up being a little month or so probably.
Yeah, it
down
was.
there. It was a blast. We had some fun. But we have to bring up, and your social media. Like, you were kind of the original guy. You had like your Boost Mobile or T-Mobile sidekick going, like flipping it up, and he'd be checking like Twitter and all that.
No,
type of
Twitter
stuff.
wasn't around
Whatever
then.
it was, like. I don't even. But
I've always had the good phone. Like, when the iPhone
Well, you're
came
the only
out-
one that could afford it.
Yeah, exactly. When the iPhone came out, I brought my brother Sean new skates to go wait in like the 8-hour line at the Derby Street in Hingham to get me the first iPhone. So at one point I had the
exit 36
sidekick.
now?
I had this. Yeah, why'd they change the exits? I had the sidekick. I mean, social media. I wasn't. I got on Twitter, I think in 2010, 2011, and at the time it was. I remember like it was weird. It was nothing, but it was also like it wasn't like it is now where it's the meanest place in the world. Then it was more you'd get people coming at you like if you didn't play good, but you'd also get people and you'd respond to people like replying to your tweets. It was just different.
Yeah.
It was so small. And so then like when Biz got it, Biz Nasty 1.0.
Yeah,
That's when it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because he was like saying things you'd get like kicked out of the league for now on his Twitter. And I remember being like, wow, this is like crazy. Like you can just say whatever you want. Like, it's your own platform.
Right.
And I think getting into it and just like dropping the occasional one-liner, I never thought it would lead to like a podcast in the future though.
I know. Well, that's obviously, I mean, you got into, a little bit of social media stuff. I remember when you came back and you retired, like you were on TV, like it might have been Comcast or whatever, you did a couple things.
Yeah, with Felger.
With Felger, some post game, but you always, you were
sweating
very,
my balls off.
You were very confident. I remember seeing those pictures. You were very confident behind the mic, and you do a great job. And obviously, you went to the NHL Network and did a really good job and gained experience. I think you did some stuff with TSN. So was that kind of always like a little bit of a career path, or did you just stumble into it?
I think I kind of stumbled into it. Where I remember asking Kevin Weeks when I was playing in Edmonton, and he would do the Hockey Night in Canada West Coast game, and I was like, "How'd you get into it?" He's like, "Oh, he told me his story," and then. After I did Comcast the 1 year, TSN the next year, I don't know if that mattered at all, but they said, hey, I think the way I did interviews in Edmonton, where they're like, oh, this guy's like somewhat well-spoken,
right?
And, maybe he'd be a guy that would get into it. So they asked me to do it, and I just said, yeah, I'll do it. I was not thinking like after hockey or anything. I just wanted to play golf after hockey.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know, I don't need to do anything, but yeah, I'll try this. And then I was pretty good at it. I didn't love it because you're at the studio so early, and then like I was like, I don't know, man. Like
you're grinding.
I understand what I'm doing.
It's definitely a grind.
Oh
right?
yeah, I was like, I want to do something after. I don't necessarily need to, but I want to because like, what else are you gonna do?
You got to stay busy.
So you got to stay busy, and then NHL Network brought me in for the same type thing when I retired. Like, go on for 10 minutes with the people hosting the show, and they'll kind of ask you some things while also talking about. They picked Pittsburgh obviously because they knew I knew Pittsburgh, so I was talking about them, and they said same thing. If you want to start coming in and doing shows, I said that's great. I'll drive up there. They were actually Catherine Tappan helped me a ton. She put a good word in for me with the NHL Network people, and so I started going there, and that was great because I was really staying involved with like the league, whereas as the podcast was beginning, it helped me to know what was going on. Right? If I didn't know anything in terms of like current league happenings, it would have been a little foolish.
I thought you did a great job on the network.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I mean, it's cool when there's good games that night and goals. It was awesome. It was the nights when like everything's 1-0 and you're just like, oh man, we have like 30 minutes on this topic.
Yeah,
that game was so boring.
But it's not easy.
No, this guy dumped it in awesome tonight.
No,
retrievable dump. Look at this.
Like, what are your 3 takeaways from that 2-0 Columbus San Jose game? I'm like, what? I was on my phone.
I didn't even know they played.
No, but that was great. And then as the podcast began, and I realized I can kind of just do that, and that's way better for me and the show. I said thank you so much to you guys. I actually still have like an open-ended contract where if I want to go in and do some dates if I was in New York, so definitely could do that again. Who knows? But it's more fun being able to just say what you want as opposed to just having to kind of abide by it.
Is that how rules. Like how did the Chiclets stuff? Because like when you, I remember obviously, I mean we talk whatever every day, but I didn't even know what a podcast was.
No,
like I remember like having to pull it up on like, I mean I probably still had dial-up internet at the time.
You had a Waxtel?
Yeah. Oh,
beep, beep.
We'd be chirping each other like, yeah. Again, I had no clue, and he's like, "Oh, I'm starting this podcast," but like,
I didn't either. I really didn't. Bree, my wife, was like, you should start a podcast, because I remember saying like, I don't know, I was talking at the time I was still friends with Biz, but he was still playing. Biz was playing in Manchester,
right? And
so he would.
I remember
when
him
off,
coming down on a couple weekends.
Yeah, he would come down. We'd go to dinner, hang out, and so like it was funny like catching up with him and just doing what we do now. And then like my wife knew about podcasts, like start a podcast. So then I sent out the tweet, and the rest was kind of history. But I didn't know what it was. I remember people were like, "Where do you find it?" I was like, "Well, there's a podcast app you have to download on the phone," but it was already on the phone. Like nobody, older people are like, "What are you talking about? I can't find it on the radio dial."
It was early in the podcast day,
and little did I know, like it was actually that early, because like now is the time everyone knows about podcasts. Like, we weren't the only ones. We're technologically illiterate, but we weren't alone in not knowing what a podcast was then. And now you look at it, it's like, it's genius. It's
awesome.
It's incredible to be able to go on and say what you want and do what you want, while also, like, I mean, granted, there's many times that people have bosses and things you can't say and can't do, but for the most part, you're kind of on your own, and anyone can start a podcast, and all of a sudden, if it's successful and people like it, you have a job. It's like you don't really need anyone to really get into one and start one, which makes a huge difference.
And you guys at the time, like, that was pre-Barstool, right? So you and RA,
me and RA did it, and he had the ability to post a blog on it. Where
because he was working.
He was a blogger, but he was working for free. He wasn't getting paid. He just did it and did it for a long time, and he could at least post the blog, but we weren't under their umbrella. I have no clue how many episodes we did. I want to say 20, and then like talked to Dave. He's like, "Oh, we want to bring you guys on and under the Barstool umbrella," which was huge. And then I don't know, 30, 40 episodes later, we added Biz. I could be getting the numbers wrong, but the first few we did, I remember telling you and some other buddies, like, I'm doing a podcast, and they were like, what are you going to talk about? And I was like, I don't even know if anyone's going to listen to this. But looking back, I'm so happy I felt that way, and I wasn't even like thinking confidence-wise, like, oh, what if people don't listen? I was like, I don't care. Maybe nobody will listen, but I'm going to do it.
I got some friends, a couple guys will tune in.
Yeah, and I was like, that's like what you have to be like in this business. Like, you can't give a shit, you can't care at all what people think, because anyone who's out there chirping like at different content that they don't like, or like how much it sucks, like, dude, you go do one.
Try it.
Give it a shot.
It's not that easy.
People say it all the time. They're like, oh yeah, dude, it's unreal. Your Barstool, you're just so lucky. I'm like, dude, give it a shot. It's not that easy. That's all I say. Because at some point your stories run out, and you better be able to like speak on different topics. But still, the ability to just do what you want and really kind of, for anyone, start a pod is pretty sick nowadays.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. No, you've definitely, I mean, the content, and you guys have done a great job, and obviously adding Biz, and you know, I love it's awesome. And you know, you added obviously getting the NHL interviews and stuff, and you know, telling funny stories, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah, even we interviewed McKinnon, and it was last night. So you know,
breaking news.
Nathan McKinnon. No, he came on before though when we were with Crosby. Yep. So he had a blast doing it. Like, after, I could tell he really liked doing it. And he said some things that he'd been working with a sports psychologist because he'd been having real confidence issues that he's like, I'd never told anyone that before, but I felt comfortable. And then last night we're talking, that was the first time, last night we're chatting, and he says, he's on the podcast, he's like, I hate doing media. I hate doing regular media, but this type stuff's great. It was like the ultimate, like, compliment. Yeah, compliment in a sense that all guys are just like, they let their guard down a bit. I think having Biz and I having played, same with you too, it does matter a little bit in terms of guys relaxing. And after that, if you can get somebody to open up and just talk like a normal person, that's what fans of players want to hear the most, is like, oh, wait, this guy's just like a normal guy. You know, and like when he's doing podcasts, he sounds so much more relaxed as opposed to buttoned up and giving the official answers to the media. We played well. I dumped it in well in the third, and good win for the boys. Team game, team win, 20 miles, 20 smiles.
Everyone ropes, everyone rides.
The Belichick school.
Exactly.
What I guess one of the questions I did have about the podcast stuff, like, has there been any challenges with it? You know what I mean? Obviously, getting it going, it's never easy, right? But have you ever
getting it going wasn't a challenge. We were so lucky in terms of how everything worked, and I would just go once a week, and I was like, oh, there's plenty to talk about.
I remember seeing you pulling up to RA's house while I was grinding through a detail and stuff.
Yeah, like, I was going to his house. People say,
I came in and sat on the
that's because you wouldn't allow him to your house.
Oh no! One time we recorded a whole episode. It wasn't recording. I was like, oh, looking back at the beginning days. Yeah, on the couch, like you and McAvoy are sitting on the couch. Like Ari's got his socks off, but
picking his toe jam.
Yeah,
he's
exactly. Oh, all the time.
Creeping upstairs.
All the time. Like, we'd be like, we got to start that over. But it was so funny. It was Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Really? It was. And so the challenges probably Biz came on and was exactly what we needed tenfold. I mean, he, like, really monetized it. He really realized what work needed to go in and what we needed to do to get to a next level. He's brilliant with that. It's nuts. And we did all that, and I was totally willing to. And then the challenges started in a sense that we're doing 2 episodes a week, which we had to go up to gain popularity, I think, and become more legit. But dog days of the season, as any player will tell you, you're going through a regular season that's long, and we're doing 2 shows a week, which I'm not at all trying to make it sound like working for 2 days a week is hard. But when you're thinking of content and thinking of issues around the league that you can talk about and doing interviews, like 2 shows a week, it comes quick. And there's a lot of times where you're doing a show where there's a lot to talk about after the weekend, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing happens. You're like, whoa, we're doing an hour and a half tonight. And so it was always fun going in and shooting the shit with your buddies and doing what we do. But like, you're like, oh my God, dude, we gotta find something to chat about here.
Yeah.
So those times were. And then the pandemic was also hard.
Bring on the Rink Shrink.
The Rink Shrink. Well, that's when
you guys would kind of doing stuff.
Well, it was also like, then I started realizing I have all these buddies at home and guys I play with that are so funny. Like I don't necessarily think we have to have on people who everyone knows who they are.
Right.
And that's
Biz has a couple guys like that Terry Ryan.
Yeah, and it's been such
like
a game changer where those are the favorite interviews.
Yeah.
It's like people, you come on, people love it because it's just back in the locker room stuff. It's not like, oh, the guy's not a superstar. Who cares? So, sorry for spitting on your paper. So I think that the challenges then began, and then the pandemic, still 2 episodes a week. And then now we're back to 1 episode a week where hockey's, I'm not going to say it's a small sport, but there's just times in a season where not as much is going on as football and basketball. And so once a week, you get the main stories, you get a great interview that's current, as opposed to we used to have to bank all the interviews because the episodes had come so quick. Now I'm at a place where I feel like right when the show started again, I'm loving doing it again. It's like any job. There's going to be ups and downs. But right now, with the season starting in a week, and we're back to 1 episode a week, and we've gotten golf involved with the YouTube content we've done. Shout out to Cornelli. Now I'm back exactly when I began, loving it.
Yeah, Cornelli's awesome.
Yeah.
And you love the golf.
I love golf.
We got a sandbagger on tap?
Oh, yeah, we got a sandbagger on tap. That'll be entertaining.
Yeah, well.
That'll be very entertaining.
We'll
Bring your drinking
fun.
shoes for that one.
Well, I guess our last thing we got to touch on is the Pink Whitney.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Pink Whitney. Can you believe it?
It's unbelievable.
First guy ever to put vodka with pink lemonade.
Yeah, no one had
history.
ever tried it. No one had ever tried it. So I tried pink lemonade mixed with vodka and ice once. It was a huge hit, and the whole world's been
how'd
like,
you think of the ice?
How'd you think of that? Yeah, the ice. It was. I thought of it because when I grabbed the pink lemonade out of the fridge, there was just the ice thing right there. I said, "Oh, I'll throw some ice in."
Old school cube.
Yeah, why not? So I threw some ice in, and I mean, the fact that it took off the way it did, nobody would ever say that they could have seen this coming. Not even Biz, who sees it all coming in the future. But he said to me, "We got to try making this drink." I've told this story where like New Amsterdam became a sponsor. I said my favorite drinks, pink lemonade vodka. It took off. People are sending us pictures, tweets, nonstop. Pink Whitney. So Biz said we got to try to make the drink. I said nobody's gonna buy a drink with my name on it, dude. Come on, what are you talking about right now? And he's like, no, they will. I said, shut up, Biz. Come on, stop.
Biz
We're driving to a house.
Maniac.
But he has millions of ideas. A lot of them hit, but this one, I'm like, dude, they're not. New Amsterdam's gonna laugh at us saying, make a drink, Pink Whitney. So, driving to a Halloween party at my wife's parents' house. I was telling her, I was like, look at all these pictures we get, Pink Whitney. We get all these tweets. She's like, why don't you try making the drink? I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, all right, this is bold. If Briz and Bree are saying this, like that means we should give it a shot. And since then, it's been insane. I could never even describe like the feelings as watching this thing grow. And I think that it being a great shot really helps. I think that our brand with Chiclets has made it like a drink where I think a lot of kids who like the show that are younger, playing junior in Canada, or you know, college players, it's just like a drink that's like has a fun bottle and
fires the boys up.
So it's easy, man. I wasn't like a Jaeger guy. I did it, but I didn't like it. At least this one, it doesn't crush me going down.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's
awesome,
it's very great. Hopefully in the future we get into, not hopefully, like figuring out a way to like really start a charity and being able to help people throughout the game, because that's seriously the next step. We've been so lucky with our podcast to gain as much popularity as we has. Well, at some point, like, I want to give back to the game. I really do. And I think with the pod and Pink Whitney, we're going to be able to do that special ways in the future. That's what it's about, you know, Moss?
I hear.
So
Mottau, you got anything else?
Yeah, so I hear that you have a decent handle on what way guys shoot and maybe their numbers.
Yes.
What
No,
about
no, numbers are not great.
No?
I just know if I've played with someone what way they shoot, or I've seen someone play.
Shane Endicott. Did you
Lefty.
play with him? Yeah.
Yeah. Shane Endicott was nasty, too.
And
Well,
He was my-
hey, the dough.
what
was he, number 14?
14
maybe?
in Wilkes-Barre, I think.
Yeah.
He was sick.
he was 18 his first year.
And then Johnny Leclerc, he would have been in the NHL. He had a bad ankle sprain to kind of set him back in Pittsburgh. But I remember he would talk like this, Endo he was from the dough. And Johnny Leclerc is just like, he heard this kid talk. He loved it. He's like, the dough. Endo.
All right, let's go couple rapid fire. Which way do they shoot? I'm thinking old school Bruins. Greg Hoggood.
Greg Hoggood, don't remember him, so that
Don't
doesn't
remember.
count.
Number 38, he was a lefty.
Yep.
Greg Hoggood.
Glenn Featherstone.
Glenn Featherstone was a lefty for sure.
Lefty.
Mach, you got anybody?
Marek Svatos.
Righty.
Nice, dude.
Sick player.
Yeah.
Hershey there.
Good job.
Yeah, he lit it up in Colorado, too. That guy was nice.
Pro guys.
What number?
40?
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
You added to it. You added to it. Well, obviously,
Guys, I'll come on anytime you want.
I was gonna say,
this is phenomenal.
Awesome.
This is phenomenal.
we've enjoyed you, and obviously, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me personally in our life. Obviously, we
buddy.
wouldn't be here with the Rink Shrinks without the Wit Dog. That's for damn sure.
Your family, you know that, and Mott's, I love you. So I'm very blessed as you guys are, and it's pretty cool to see what's happened here because this thing's gaining a lot of steam. I love it.
Well,
Appreciate
thanks a
it,
lot,
buddy.
pal.
All right, boys.
Do you want to become a better hockey player this summer with Paul Vincent Hockey? Since 1972, Paul Vincent, currently the head skills instructor of the Florida Panthers, has been developing NHL and college hockey players. Paul Vincent stands by his saying, there's always room for player development. Players such as Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Keith Yandle, Matt Grzelcyk, Patrick Sharp, Adam Oates, and many more have trained with Coach Vincent and his staff and have outstanding results. Join Paul Vincent this summer at one of his 4 Massachusetts locations, Canton, Saugus, Middleton, and Falmouth on Cape Cod. Registration is now open for 2021 camps. To reserve your spot today, go to pvhockey.com or call 978-807-4070. That's pvhockey.com or call 978-807-4070. Paul Vincent is ready to get back to work this summer. Are you?
Have a question for New England Hockey Journal's The Rink Shrinks? Well, Brian and Mike will answer it in an upcoming session. Simply email them, therinkshrinks@hockeyjournal.com. That's therinkshrinks@hockeyjournal.com. And connect with them on Instagram at @TheRinkShrinks. And now, back to Brian and Mike, New England Hockey Journal's The Rink Shrinks.
All right, well, welcome back. Obviously, hopefully, you guys enjoyed the interview with the Wit Dog. It was excellent, really great chatting with him, and appreciate it. But it's time to dip into the mailbag, Mott.
Yeah, it was a great interview with a good friend and a lot to offer, whether it be hockey or things outside of the game. So it was fun to have him on. Yeah, let's dip into the mailbag.
Dip into the mailbag. All right, this one comes from Ryan. He's a South Shore guy. So a 2-part question, Mott, but we'll go with number 1 first. Daughter is a second-year Mike, currently skates for the top boys club program and top girls program as an alternate. Confidence level is at an all-time high. She's having lots of fun on both teams and loves going to the rink. When is the right time / right cues or signs to roll her into a girls-only program?
Great question. So I have 2 daughters that play, and one is in a very similar situation. My 10-year-old, and I think you continue to let her play both until checking. If that's if she's having success with both, and more importantly, like if the girls program is a travel team that is going to advance and kind of cultivate a more competitive team, then you maybe make the switch a little bit earlier. But if she's having a ball playing both and having some success on her town team as well, I would say up until checking, unless she can handle it. One of my buddies daughters, 2 of them played checking right through with the boys, but they were, a little bigger and could handle the contact, but that's not for everyone. So I would just say, that cutoff could be bantam level.
Yeah, I think in my experience, I have a couple girls that came through my program that are excellent players, both committed to Harvard, the McDonald's, and I actually coach their daughter, another one of their girls who's we're first year Pee-wees this year with my 09 group, and I think that his rule of thumb, his father's at least, was when they got to bantams and checking was kind of his cutoff point. And then, for other girls, I think if obviously the speed of the game, or it does get a little bit more and more physical, and if they're not strong enough to keep up and, potentially getting injuries and things like that, obviously it's kind of a year-to-year type of situation. But I think that bantam age is kind of the cutoff point.
Yeah, no, I think that's the play there, and, you want to play it by the situation, but once the contact starts coming in, you want to protect the girls as much as possible if they're not capable of taking that contact.
Yep, yeah. And second part of this question is my son is a squirt, plays for the Tier 1 team under a phenomenal head coach. My son's development has been great under this current coach. It's his second year. He is at current level where he may benefit from playing with a more advanced team and against better competition. However, the advanced team coach hasn't developed talent very well. What's the right move here? Hold him back or move him up to the next team? What do you think?
It's kind of a tough one. I mean, if the competition at the Tier 1 level is appropriate and your son is developing, then there's really no need to chase it. And if that coach if the game isn't going to outpace the current coach, then, and you're comfortable with that situation, I would stay and kind of let them be comfortable playing at that level and just enjoying the time. If it is that much of a disparity between the talent and your son's development,
And
then
he's dominating.
Yeah, and to the point of Whit, like he was mentioning, dominate a level before you can move on. I think that's where you would have to make that decision.
Yeah. I mean, I think the coaching piece at the younger age group is so important. If you have a good coach and he's developing and you're continuing on a good path, why make a move? Why make a move, especially if you know that next level up might not be as good, or maybe, I don't promote kind of that program jumper and things like that, but maybe you look elsewhere where you could possibly get better coaching, But I understand it. I think if you're happy with where you are and the coaching's good and all that stuff, why make a change, right? Like that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, and if the competition is, reasonable,
good,
then,
reasonable.
Yeah, you got to be able to kind of take all those factors into consideration when making your decision.
Yeah, we got a couple more, Motzi.
Yeah, so as far as on Instagram here, it says, "Hey Ross, what was your chin-up record for Chappie?"
Oh, so that let me look at that. So that question comes from Sean Collins, who is obviously a great player at UNH.
Nice.
And Reading High legend with his Jofa helmet, but great college player, and Chappie was our strength and conditioning coach. I think chin-ups are different than pull-ups. I think we had to do pull-ups. You know what I mean? Chin-ups are kind of the hands
facing you, yeah.
Hands facing you. I don't think we ever really did those. So we were more chin-up guys. I don't know. I was probably about a dozen or so, but
half does, Baker's does.
Yeah, I mean, now I'd be lucky to get one for sure. I'm a Peloton guy though.
Yeah, I pull up.
Yeah.
Now that's pretty good though. If you're going 12,
I mean that could be generous. I mean Collins, he
knows the answer.
No, the good question is he doesn't know the answer because he was never in the weight room. He just did everything on the ice. He was a stud on the ice, but he was allergic to the weight room. That's for sure.
That's great. All right, so we got another one here. Cross ice passes. This is from Mike Internet. Cross ice passes and passing in front of the goalie in the D end. Good idea, and when?
I mean, I love using the middle of the ice, right? If you're D and you're confident and you're confident in your centers to be swinging low, and you can, I think at the younger age groups, everybody that their D pinch and they crash and things. So if you can get your defenseman looking to you to find the center and find the middle of the ice, I think I'm all for it. Like I as long as it's, obviously if there's nobody there, you can't just throw the puck up the middle of the ice. That's the bottom line, right? But if you have that confidence between your D partner and your center swinging low, and you can make that play, it's a confident play. You've got to practice it. I love it.
I absolutely agree. The middle of the ice is an area that it's a pressure area that if there's a turnover, bad things can happen. So you have to be sure in your decision making, but that's a great way to exit the zone with full possession. Because if you watch the games consistently and you're just shoveling it up the wall,
I hate that play and rimming it. I hate rimming it.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of read and defend if you're on the opposing side. So what I would say always to the forechecking guys on our team would just be like, make them make a hurried play, because it's going to be a predictable play, and that's up the wall, usually the wall, right?
Panic button.
Yeah, and that's easy to anticipate. So you work on your anticipation, and it all is dictated by that pressure. But if on the other side, if you have the ability to like teach a team, it's okay to use the middle of the ice, and that center has to be available and understand he doesn't have to be going fast. So it's like low and slow between the dots. That's what we would always say. And it could be in his feet, but if he has time to kick it to his skate and then make a play, that's all right. The time, if you're skating up ice and you're skating into pressure, then it could be trouble. But using the center of the ice is huge. And as coaches kind of realize that, and kind of you have to live and die by it at times. There's going to be some mistakes, but that could lead to offensive chances. But I think it's great to encourage it at least.
Yeah, and I mean, and the second part of that is cross ice passes. I mean, I love guys going, D to D and throwing it across the ice, and as long as you have a winger that's there and you're able to make play. But I encourage our guys to spread the ice out and make plays, and work on that saucer pass across the ice and things like that. You gotta do it. You gotta be confident with the puck. Again, it comes back to confidence with the puck. And if you're screaming at your kids to just shovel your crap up the wall all the time, they're not going to be confident with the puck. So encourage your kids to make plays. And again, there's a right and a wrong time. If there's a guy standing in front of me, I can't just make a cross ice pass, right? I have to have my head up, and there's a lot of different factors. But look to make plays.
And that goes two ways with the forward being low enough, so it's more of a cross ice pass versus a diagonal pass, where it can be easily knocked down and passed into coverage. But that just goes into some positioning stuff and trying to get open for your teammate. But cross ice sauce.
Cross ice sauce, I love it. I love the sauce. And the last one we have here is from D. Conley. When will Dusty be on the show? Oh, Dusty. You know who Dusty is?
Brian Foley?
No. Dusty is Pat. So Pat was my captain at UNH. He played at the USA team.
Oh, yeah.
He was a couple years ahead of us. Pat went on and coached at the under-18 team. He coached at Harvard, coached at Northeastern. We work together now. Another good friend. Open invitation for Dusty. We got some great stories. Ultimate leader, great guy, knows the game inside and out. Obviously, coaching, had a great career. He was a 3-time captain at UNH. He redshirted one year, so he ended up being a captain. So another guy that
tough to play against. Got in on the forecheck.
He was a missile, absolute wrecking ball out there.
Played with his brother Brendan.
Yeah. Brendan had a great quote that he's like, "I just wish hockey wasn't played with a stick. Like he just wanted to play football out there. He's an animal." But
great family.
And their brother Brian was my roommate for 4 years, one of my best friends. Him, Whit, myself, that's our crew. So Dusty, open invite anytime. Anytime he wants to come on, would have a blast. And he has a great outlook at the game, coaching, recruiting, the under-18 team, all that type of stuff. He's like the all-American man. And his father, if you ever drove through East Milton Square, where we are right now, he was the bike cop in East Milton Square, and he wasn't afraid to pull you over for not turning with your blinker on or something. Good, but unbelievable hockey family, great people. So, Dusty, you're up. Let's go.
Yeah,
you're up.
In the bullpen.
You're in the bullpen, Dusty Baker. Well, once again, we appreciate the questions. Again, some of these emails that we're getting, we encourage it, but let's use that voicemail, 3476 shrink. And what was the numbers, Mott? I mean, if Harry from High Park can figure out to spell out shrink.
Yeah. Well, it's 3476 747465.
Say it again.
3476 747465.
All right. So
let's 3476 shrink.
Yeah, let's use that voicemail. Obviously, it's a little bit easier. As you can tell,
it'll be great to hear. I
like hearing voices, and my nobody wants to listen to me read. I'm not a reader.
No, I think people do.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I probably butchered half of these questions. You know what I mean? But
no, it's all good.
All good. Well, thanks again for listening. Obviously, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Ryan Whitney for coming in. He was awesome, and he's another guy. Like I said, he's one of my best friends, and he was a great player, had a great career, and obviously has a successful off-ice career now with Spittin Chiclets, and I owe everything to him. He's just a generous person, comes from a great family, and he's the man. I love him.
Yeah, great guy, great guest. Looking forward to that sandbagger.
Can't wait for that sandbagger. And again, another little, let's give you a little round of applause for grinding through. This guy had surgery the other day, and he's here. He's, he couldn't miss his date. I'm going to give him a massage after the show.
Little deep tissue.
Rub down the hip a little bit, get him loose, because we got that sandbagger. It's got to be. I got to dial it in. I can't wait to use that excuse this spring that I got to play golf at least twice a week, hon. Sorry.
Work on the game.
I got to work on the game. I can't look like an embarrassment on TV.
No, that'll be fun. But yeah, Whit was a great guest, and sharing his experiences was nice, because he has a lot of people that know him through Chiclets and might not know some of the things behind the person. So it was nice for him to be interviewed versus giving the interview.
And he was the first guest in this new studio. Yeah. Once again, thank you to Eric Siemens and the Hockey Journal. This place is awesome, and good stuff. So thanks again for listening. We appreciate it, and Till next time, we'll see you around the rinks.